The back seat. Check the back seat.
All right, come here.
Check the back seat.
Gets in your head, right? Good. Because every year, dozens of children are forgotten in the backseat of a car by a parent or caregiver. All never thought it could happen to them. But with changes in routines, distractions, or a sleeping child, it can happen to anyone. Parked cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. So get it in your head.
Check the back seat.
A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Crossover. Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover. It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
All right, time for the crossovers brought to you by Everlow Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlowconcrete.com. Very disappointed in fellow media members.
I know. Where are the tweets?
10 minutes in, we got no tweets.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. Maybe they're cracking down. I don't know. They're theoretically practices open right now or just being open. So
Practice, we're talking about practice.
exactly. We are talking about practice.
It's the opening day, and we get a back into practice.
We are talking about practice.
There might be guys running around and throwing passes and catching touchdowns instead of stretching.
No, this is the early part. I think they start at
I thought they were starting at 8:30.
Oh, maybe. Yes, actually that's right. They start 8:30, so I don't know when they will end. Probably somewhere around 11 or so. Something like that.
I remember those late summer practice camps where the Nebraska Huskers invite children to go and participate. I remember going there as a child and dropping passes from Zach Lee and Cody Green.
Wow, you were just like everybody else.
Yeah, I was just like everybody else.
Did it go off your fingertips?
Yes,
and
it did.
Was pick sick the other way?
Yes, I did not listen to Chris Brooks.
Wait a minute.
Chris Brooks taught you how to catch?
Yeah, he taught our group how to catch the football.
That is amazing.
How many of that group has gone on to play college football?
Probably a very low margin.
0?
I would say.
So as a kid, they brought you to fall camp to play with the Huskers?
They did a kids camp deal.
Oh.
It was a kids camp deal. They usually do it around the late summer, around when fall training camp begins.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that was my memory.
Is this a recent picture?
This is from that is from yesterday. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I won the Bromaha Open. Matt McMaster, your esteemed co-host, said I wouldn't win because I hadn't played golf in 1 year. And then when I did, so it's a 2-day tournament, 18 holes a day, right? Me and my friends have been doing this for that was our 15th year. And I had not touched a golf club since I walked off last year, same day. So it was one entire year since I played golf.
For the other guys in this tournament.
And then on Saturday, I played the best round of my life.
Nice.
Of my life. I shot a 78.
Where did you play?
At Stone Creek. The best round of my life by 7 strokes. So I felt like bad. I'm like, what happened? I don't even know. I was in the zone. At the end, I made the putt on 18. I'm like, okay, what just happened? And then yesterday I kind of just had to hang on, and that's basically what I did.
78?
I shot a 78 on Saturday.
Kudos, man.
Yeah, I never in my. I probably will never do that again. Because I'm usually like a good day is in the mid 80s. For me. A good day is in the mid to like upper 80s for me. And I ripped off a 78 on Saturday.
Can we talk about the trophy?
Yeah.
The trophy is impressive.
Yeah, that's so we used to do, I mean, this is a big deal that we do this with our guys every year. And we used to have like individual trophies. So when I last won, this is my second time. I won in 2017.
So do you have a nameplate on the trophy?
And we were doing individual trophies at the time, but yes, we went back and did nameplates for everybody. So I had an individual trophy in 17, and then this has been the traveling trophy for the last like 5 years or so. And now I just have to find a place in my house to put that.
That is serious.
It's a big deal. Yeah. Big. It's
now, does the jacket come with it?
The jacket comes with it. Unfortunately, I had to slip that on yesterday when it was 8,000 degrees, and that is like I don't know what the material is, but it's not breathable. The jacket, I had never sweat more. We played at Shoreline yesterday, so I mean the wind started kicking up a little bit at the end, but you know how it is down there. It's there's trees and you're kind of sunk down a little bit, and so there's bugs. It was miserable. Yeah. If anybody was out on the golf course yesterday, please tell us how miserable you were, because I never sweat more.
It was a fat man's weight loss paradise, Joey.
It really was.
If you want to be on the golf course but don't want to be outside, just watch the movie back at home.
I did on Saturday night. I watched
movie.
Happy Gilmore 2 on Saturday night.
There are two people in this world this morning. People that hated it and people that loved it.
I know, it's weird how
It's crazy.
I guess I don't know where did we land? So, somewhere in the middle, because you're right. There's a lot of people who are like, this is terrible. I thought you were being way too hard on it. I laughed almost the entire movie.
That's what I did too.
I really enjoyed it. Now you probably had to, because I talked to my parents last night and I told them they should watch it. But then I thought, I don't know if they would get like all the references or the amount of, because everybody in the movie was somebody, right?
Yes.
So you kind of have to know the backstories of all those people to really think that the jokes were funny. But I very much enjoyed it. I seriously liked it a lot.
Is it because we all follow sports people on Twitter? Because
Probably.
like there are movies like Superman and Frozen 4, or not Frozen 4, Fantastic Four, excuse me, hockey reference, that are better movies that are doing better at the box office and actually were in theaters compared to being on Netflix. The amount of discussion on social media pales in comparison to Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
It seems like everybody watched it and everybody had to share a thought.
I felt like it was, because I don't watch movies, but I felt like it was kind of appointment viewing because I knew that people were going to be talking about it in the sports world. Like if there's a sports movie coming out, I probably need to watch it, even though I haven't done that over the last several years either. Wasn't there another Air Bud movie or something like that? Or they're coming out with another. I don't think I will watch the next Air Bud movie.
No,
probably not.
But the expectations. That's what I was saying to Jake earlier. Like if you had to go to the movie theater, you might think differently.
Maybe.
But the fact that I was sitting on my couch and I was able to stream it, I'm like, you know what? This is good. I expected 2 hours of funny and stupid and a bunch of cameos, and that's what I got, and I'm fine.
If there was any, I mean, there's more than one critique, obviously, but it was too long. It was definitely too long. It could have been 15 to 30 minutes shorter, probably.
Well,
but
they had some storylines that they started at the beginning, and you're like, they didn't know how to get out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the first 10 minutes are kind of a tough hang.
They are.
Like they're
firing a bunch of stuff at you.
You really got to be committed in those first 10 minutes. I'm like, oh man, are you serious? I don't want to spoil it, but come on. And then, but that does set the tone for the rest of the movie.
Usually a tragedy leads
I guess
the story.
So. I guess so.
Well, and you're like, then they tried to, then it sped up. They're like, okay, now we've gone too long and let's just try and get out of this. And so then it got kind of like the ending is kind of wacky. Like you're like, what is going on here?
Right. I loved how much they made fun of Liv.
Oh,
with Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka, like that's hilarious. The thing that I think the thing that I will take most from that movie, maybe not the thing that I'll take most, but I am now going to make it a thing to call golf regular golf. He had a hat. He was wearing a hat at the, in the end of the movie that said regular golf on it. And I want that hat. You got Vern Lundquist saying, Happy Gilmore saved regular golf. This is amazing.
Yeah, Vern Lundquist dressing up during the movie.
Hey, Vern was...
it was awesome.
Yeah, Vern...
loved his look.
Vern has slowed down quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was good to see him in the movie.
It was good to see him. He's there's a reason why he's not doing it anymore, though.
Yeah.
I was Bad Bunny was really good.
Bad Bunny was incredible. Bad Bunny might have been the winner of the movie.
Scotty Scheffler has got a case.
Yeah.
Scotty Scheffler doesn't do anything bad.
Not again.
He was really funny in this movie.
He likes to poke fun of his history of events.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's a good way to say it, Joey, without spoiling anything.
It's so good. It's I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it.
I laughed basically the entire time.
If you
I
laugh,
have no
then it's a good
regrets.
movie. If you enjoyed it.
Yeah. It was stupid. It was fun.
Well, what do we expect? When
like
it
it won an
first came
Oscar?
out, I was in college. Okay, I laughed at it. It was funny. Did I expect 29 years later for it to be something different and all of a sudden to have adult themes? I wanted it to be stupid.
Yeah.
That's what it
That's
was.
the whole purpose.
Happy Gilmore was very stupid.
Yes.
That was a very stupid movie, but it was awesome. Yeah. This one was stupid in a different way.
He didn't
but it
say,
was
you know
awesome.
what? Let's see how we can make this an award winner.
Right.
Let's just get as many of my friends in it as possible.
Exactly.
And there are a ton of his friends.
Even the people who I watched it with my wife, and I could tell that the people who he golfed with at the beginning there, I knew Eric Andre.
Yeah.
I didn't know who those other people were. I was like, who are these people? And she had to explain me who Margaret Qualley was. And I was like, what's going on right now? And then you kind of get it. So together we put it together.
How many cameos do we get in that movie? I watched like a 3-minute TikTok that
70 some?
74 is what
Yeah.
this guy listed out. I wasn't sure if that was.
He was on last week. He was on Dan Patrick, and they asked him about, like we've always talked about, his regular friends are in every Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah,
and they were.
Yeah.
Then he talked about like, okay, how do I ask Travis Kelce? How do I ask some of these guys who are perfect for this role, but I don't want to bug them?
Right.
And then he was like Eminem. He's like, this role was perfect. Who was good? He's like, I don't want to bug him. He's making records. He's living in Detroit. Like he doesn't have time on a Saturday to come and film a couple of scenes. And then they were like, yeah, we are. So he called him up and he's like, everybody that he asked, he wouldn't. There was one person that was filming something else and could not meet their schedule. But he said everybody except one that he wanted for particular roles he got.
He said yes. I mean, why would you say no? You know? Somebody said late last week before the movie came out that there was a big one that everybody knew who was kind of going to show up.
Yeah.
And we knew all the golfers were going to be in there. And I had heard that Travis Kelce was going to be in there, but somebody said that there was going to be like a big one. Was that Eminem? Did that end up being Eminem?
So. I think that was his big get.
It's pretty funny.
And he was good.
It's pretty good. Eat by alligators. It's cool.
Well,
Detroit,
because the Carl Weathers stuff, like Chubbs, like they were going to film stuff before he passed away.
Yeah.
And then
he died.
Yeah.
But his son,
yes,
funny, Huel. Yeah.
That was hilarious.
He was pretty good. Tap it in. I liked it.
What happened in Kansas City last night? I'm ready to shut her down, and I see that Jeff Passan has announced that Seth Lugo is staying.
Yeah. That seems pretty
royalish.
Yeah. Because they don't want to admit that they're selling. I'm sure the conversation was, hey, we could trade you and then we'll still have a chance to sign you in the offseason, but obviously everything is different. Or we could just sign you right now, And that was where they ended up. And it does secure their future in a way. Like, I mean, they have pretty much 4 guys locked into their rotation next year.
Yeah.
So next year kind of needs to be the year for them, I feel like. But I was happy. I wasn't like super surprised. I was happy to see that happen.
The other,
I like when my team sign guys. I like when that happens.
Well, you got an owner that probably from a PR hit had to sign somebody.
Yeah.
Because Randall Grichuk is not going to get me excited.
But that's a classic Royals deadline move.
I know you'll be out at Warner Park later this week. Are we going to be on Hug Watch?
Yeah, maybe. That's a great point. I didn't even think about that. Day before the deadline at Warner Park? Yeah. Have to keep our eyes open, Joey.
Yeah, we will.
Who all of a sudden is hugging each other in the dugout?
Well, watch who makes their way up that left field line into the clubhouse and starts bolting out of the stadium.
That's why I want to watch the Iowa Cubs this week. Iowa Cubs will be on big time Hug Watch.
Definitely. Because, they're going to do something. And Casey's probably going to get moved, right?
Yeah. Maybe Ballesteros if there's a big name out there.
Yeah.
What does Mackenzie Gore cost? more than Seth Lugo.
Apparently, yeah. No, that's a good point. I didn't even really think about that part yet. By the way, I got some text from before on golf. Aaron writes in, we got tee times to Quarry Oaks 5 months ago. Great course. But it was arguably the least fun I've ever had golfing. We're talking about this weekend. Just a miserable round of golf, and all the trees made the air so heavy and thicker than it already was. I won the thing yesterday, and you get up there and they're like, say something, and I'm like, all right, I can't. I got nothing left. I am physically and emotionally just absolutely spent and drained. Two straight days of 18 holes of golf in that heat
It's hot outside. I need a drink.
That was nuts.
Well, when I was driving in this morning, in my neighborhood, lawnscaping service, they're already mowing the lawns at 5:45.
Yeah, probably for the best.
I mean,
Get it out of the way.
1 o'clock, they say, hey, you got to go out and mow a field. Screw that.
You don't want to go outside today. Now, I've heard by the end of this week, we lighten up a little bit.
Yes.
It's going to be in the 80s.
So I have another golf thing this coming weekend. And this is my Dubuque trip this weekend, and somebody sent me the weather for that, and it's like upper 70s. I'm like, this is crazy. This is ridiculous. So don't worry. It will still be hot throughout August and September because that's what it is. But any break from this that we could get right now is appreciated. But I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining because I prefer the heat over the cold.
Hear that? Heat better than cold.
It is.
Like,
not to like where I live in my apartment, but like, yeah.
So what if it's like 80 degrees in your house?
That's weird. I guess 80 probably doesn't feel so bad if it's 110 outside.
No. Yeah. And you got the ceiling fans on and you got the blinds are shut. You can hold in the nice, cool air.
But your AC was on though, right?
Yeah, I did turn it on yesterday.
Yeah.
Good.
You can't.
So it'll be on when I go home and it'll be cold in my house.
Yeah.
And I will not be happy.
I like it cold in the house.
John writes in, did Connor laugh the entire movie because he drank a 12-pack while golfing and it was 1,000 degrees and he was a little dehydrated? Yeah, maybe. Maybe I was just in a really good place coming off of my PR golf round.
I can't drink beer though when it's that hot.
You gotta do something though.
Well, like Gatorade or water most importantly.
Tequila.
That would be.
It's an option.
That is an option. Damn. Yeah, that might be tough to make it.
Get a nice, refreshing drink from the clubhouse.
Little vodka lemonade.
They were doing at Stone Creek on Saturday. I don't know if they do this all the time. They're doing transfusions.
Yes, that's what Matt likes.
Yeah, those were good. That was good. I very much enjoyed that.
Did you pair it with a glizzy?
They didn't have hot dogs at the turn, so I got a burger. The options were burgers or brats, and I chose burger.
You didn't want a burger at the turn?
Yeah,
that's it like a hockey puck.
I just shoved it down. No, it was good. It was nice and soft. It was good. It wasn't too bad.
That is a great trophy. I can't stop staring at the trophy.
People are talking about it. People are talking about the Bromaha Open.
That might be a better trophy than the Claret Jug. That's what other people are talking about.
It's one of the longest standing traditions of my life. I mean, seriously, 15 years? I've been doing hardly anything for 15 years. What have you been doing?
That's true.
What has anybody been doing for 15 years?
You got a good point.
Right.
You got a good point. That's a hell of an accomplishment.
Yeah. We're gonna do it until we can't do it anymore.
So where's the trophy now? In like the backseat of your car?
Yeah,
next to the child seat?
So it has because the guy who won it a couple years ago, he had to immediately like fly back to we lived in LA, I think at the time. He's from Utah. And so he had to get him this big like traveling carrying case. So it comes in this giant, like the equipment you use for like radio broadcasts, like that, but much, much bigger. So I have that. I need to find a place to put that, and then it's in my house right now. I need to find an adequate place to store it for the next year. But it's
right on the mantle.
It could be the centerpiece.
Right next to the big screen.
It could be the centerpiece of my home for the next year.
Why don't you just put it smack dab in the middle of the kitchen table?
I mean, it's a little, need space on the kitchen table. I don't like having stuff. But in this case, I do want to prominently display it somewhere.
Do the Happers have a clean kitchen table, or do you stack stuff?
It's a pretty clean kitchen table. Like there's a centerpiece, there's some flowers in the middle, and it's pretty clean.
But you don't have newspapers or other things that are like in the corner of the table?
We try not to. A bunch of mail that I don't need, because like they send bills or whatever, but I pay all the bills online. So I don't need the physical copies of the bills.
All right, before we go, I have to throw this out to the group because a friend of mine was on a date this weekend, and it wasn't their first date, but it was the first time that he picked her up. And so they've been dating for 4 weeks.
Okay.
He likes her a lot. He has been divorced for a while. She likes him. Same thing. They both have kids. He said she pulled a move that he's never been involved with before, and he was questioning where this is going. She immediately opened up his glove box.
Oh no.
She was curious on
why did she do that?
Because this is what she said. This is one of her things that she can tell about guys that she's dated. She wanted to see if he had any fast food napkins, and if he did, where they were from. And she said, I can tell a lot about you.
Okay, okay. So hold on. Before we get to the where are they from, is it a positive or a negative to have fast food napkins in your... Because I like having a couple napkins in the car.
I do too.
Yes, I
I
have
think
them
it's a
here.
positive. He was taken back because that's like what she did. He was like, he joking like, I don't have a gun in there or anything like that. And she's like, oh no, you go to Dutch Bros, where they live in the part of the country that's their coffee shop.
It's kind of a wild move to just like pop open the glove compartment.
Yes. Yes.
I'd be like, whoa, what? Hey, hang on. Like, I don't
was-
have anything in there, but can you maybe not?
He was telling our group, he goes, I was like stunned. And then she explained, like in a ha-ha way, I was just curious because I could tell a lot more about you, about the places you go for fast food and the napkins you get and how many you keep. And he said I had he had 5 napkins and they were from 2 different places.
There's some places where you can't tell, though, where the napkins are from.
No.
Every time I go, like when I go to QT and I get something, I just grab like a handful of them. They're probably like, what is this guy doing? Just ripping napkins off the thing. I just grab
You
a
see
handful.
that a lot.
Yeah. So I got a bunch of QT napkins in my car.
So I said, we're like, well, he goes, I had to bring it up later in the night. He goes, because I couldn't get it out of my head that she got in my car. We said our hellos and she opened up my glove box.
Here we go. Poll question. Do you keep napkins in your car?
Most people do, whether you have kids or not.
You got that one, Joey?
Yes, I got it.
All right, good.
Extra napkins. I'll just take them and I'll put them as my regular napkins in the house.
See, they never make it inside. They're either getting thrown away or they're sitting in my car for a long time before they get thrown away in my car. And the thing is, rarely, if ever, do I actually use the extra napkins for the intended purpose.
They're just there.
They're just just there until I clean the car out.
Okay.
And I definitely don't put them in the glove box. Like they'll sit on the seat, But if I know somebody's going to be in the seat, then maybe I'll clean it.
The move of putting them in the glove box is very much our parents' thing.
Yeah.
Because that was a big deal. I remember we had a load of fast food napkins that were in the glove box.
Or in those little compartments on the doors.
Yes.
I don't like my wife always puts stuff in and then she forgets the stuff. And then all of a sudden it's kind of clanging around in the door. And I'm like, I don't put anything in the doors. I try to keep my car very clean.
Now, for the record, she was cool because the first napkin she pulled out was Dutch Bros, and that's her favorite coffee shop.
Okay.
So she was good on that. But napkins with fast food places, there is no in between. You're either not getting a napkin,
correct,
or you're getting like 10.
Correct. That's exactly right. Mm-hmm. I can't stand when I get none.
Well, there's a particular drive-through coffee donut place in this town that does not do any. You have to request them.
They've gotten kind of stingy on the napkins, like they've kind of gotten stingy on the sauces and stuff like that too.
Yes, and the condiments.
Well, and I like to eat my car, as we've discussed before. I like to eat my car too, so I need there to be napkins. But it's not one of those things where I like check the bag before I leave, or ask, "Hey, are there napkins in there?" I probably should. Because that's an important thing for me.
What has happened is post-COVID, it's cutting down on my condiment collection
in your little Ziploc bag in your refrigerator.
Or
is it on one of the shelves.
It's one of the the shelves that
Okay.
you slide up and there's all the condiments.
Nice.
But it's part of my Halloween candy. I offer up people that come to my house. I show them
Ketchup packets.
the big thing of ketchup packets or the Chick-fil-A sauce, which is very, very popular. And then after they're like, then I slide the candy out.
Yeah.
I
I started buying the Chick-fil-A sauce from the grocery store. It's
Any
pretty
different?
It is a little different. I don't know what
Yeah.
I can't explain it. It is a little bit different than in the container.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.
Enjoy. Again, nothing from Lincoln.
Really? Still? I figured we'd have something by now.
No.
Interesting. Good suggestion, by the way, from Andrew on what to do with the trophy. Put the trophy on the counter and fill it with oranges.
I was going to say,
It does look
hopefully
like
no
the
one
Orange Bowl
mistakes.
trophy.
Basically like the Orange Bowl.
I was going to say, hopefully no one mistakes that as a little fruit punch bowl or like a cereal bowl or something.
I get to use it however I want for the next year. I could do whatever I want with it.
That is true.
If it was not 150 degrees yesterday, would you have drank out of it?
Maybe, probably.
Okay.
I don't know the cleanliness of the bowl.
It's like the Stanley Cup.
It's a glass bowl on the top.
It's like the Stanley Cup. You don't think twice. It's the Stanley Cup.
I would have liked to probably have, if that was going to happen. I don't know. After the round yesterday, I probably would have done just about anything. But I would have liked to probably wipe it out, before I was going to consume anything out of it.
78.
Yeah.
Hasn't played in a year.
Yeah, nonsense.
Were you the most hated guy walking off the course on Saturday?
Everyone was like, what are you doing? Like, are you sandbagging this? Because we all have handicaps. And I've played very consistent to my handicap over the years.
Yeah.
Like I'm usually in contention, but I'm pretty consistent to my handicap. Somehow that happened. Everyone started looking at me like, what did you do? I told them before the round, I said I hadn't played in one entire year. They're like, we'll see how this goes. I felt like I was going to play pretty well. I did not think I was going to do the best I've ever done at golf. So that'll never happen again. So I'll enjoy it while I have it.
Finally, we have our first tweet.
Okay, it's a Michael Severe grass tweet.
Yes, that grass does look pretty good.
So did they get the special? They did this in Kansas City. They got Bermuda in, and they modified it so it works in a kind of northern, even though Kansas City doesn't feel like a northern climate, especially in the summer.
I believe you are correct.
What Ichiro said about it. Yeah, that looks sharp. A great grass practice field. Man, there is going to be so much talk about the grass today.
It does look like, compared to what it was even last year, it does,
because they used to have a turf field. The one that Michael just shot right there that's the old turf field.
Yes.
And then it was a grass field that was crappy on the other side of that. If they felt like they were, if they were playing a game on grass the upcoming week. Now they have nice grass. Congratulations. They hired a whole turf department or whatever.
That is an 8-win grass field.
Here we go. We got an observation from Evan Bland. One observation from a portion of Nebraska's open practice. Tight end Carter Nelson has transformed his body. He looks like a totally different guy. 951-1620.
8 wins, man. There are 8-win tweets that are just going to be firing.
Oh, I know. It's
Why were they so late letting the media in? It's almost 10:30.
I don't know.
They were supposed to be in at 9:50.
Somebody comes to the door and is like, "You guys can come in now."
Rule must not be running a tight ship this year. Might be back to 7 wins.
All right. See ya.
Have a good one.
That is Gary Sharp, and that is The Crossover, powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. It is Monday. We will start things off next.
That's The Crossover. The Connor Happer Show is next on 1620 The Zone.
He gives you the latest sports news, interviews, and life-changing commentary with a smile on his face. Because he wears those ticklish underpants.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome in. It's Monday here in the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Joey Colbert with us this week.
I'm here.
Joey, this will be great.
It's
You and
it's a special week.
Just chopping it up. It's going to be you're doing 100 different things.
And doing a million different things in the building.
This is one of them. We look forward to any sort of NFL news that comes around during the week so we can get Joey's immediate reaction.
Hey,
to these
preseason starts this Thursday. We got the Hall of Fame game rolling around.
That is true. You will be the one person in this room that will be excited about this and that might watch it.
It's football, man.
I might tune in. I might. No guarantees.
I'll definitely tune into the Hall of Fame ceremony when they do the enshrinement. I know Sterling Sharp is one of the guys going into the Hall of Fame, former Green Bay Packer.
It's good. It's good.
Long overdue.
It's a reason for you to watch.
Yeah.
Baseball had their Hall of Fame celebration this weekend. We'll have some of that throughout the show today. But yes, welcome. It is Monday, the start of a brand new week. Fall camp is officially open for the Nebraska Cornhuskers football team. So we have a couple topics on that today, including what's the formula for Nebraska this year? We'll talk about that coming up at noon today. No Schaefer today, but we will catch up with him tomorrow. So he's a little busy today. He's got some stuff going on, so we'll catch him at a good time tomorrow. But we will talk with Sam McEwen coming up at 1. That is the fresh off practice, by the way. That is the lineup powered by the referees at John Higgins Weather Guard. We'd like to hear from you all. 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Call or text that number. Tweet at Happer Show at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor, Josh. Oh, you can still email Josh, I suppose. J Colbert.
Yeah, jcolbert at nrgmedia.com.
If you would like Joey to see your emails, you could send them there on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And we say good morning to the YouTube streamers today, including Mr. Sindelar, who we're going to need this week. So he said, did I hear grass talk? I'm clearing my schedule. Get ready, because whenever Matt Rule's press conference happens, which is theoretically, I don't know, within the next hour or so after they wrap up a practice, Rule's going to talk for a little while. And he's not going to probably say much about football, maybe some personnel things that'll be of interest to people based on their observations from the brief open period of practice this morning. But he will talk about the grass. He will be talking about the grass. There is little to no doubt in my mind that he will be talking about the grass, because he loves talking about grass, and it was a main observation, it seems like, from people that were at practice today. By the way, I wonder if this caller is still here, because I would like to take this advice if I could get it. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see if Grady. See if Grady is still here on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Grady, you with us?
Yeah. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm good. What's going on?
Well, when I raised my family, I had to play golf on Saturday mornings at 6 and Sunday mornings at 6 to be home in time to do family stuff on Saturdays and go to mass at 11 o'clock on Sunday.
Right.
How the hell do you get away with playing Saturday and Sunday this week and then going to a tournament next week?
This is it.
Did she have an...
This is it. This is the only time I play golf basically all year. Now, once again, I did not play golf for the entire calendar year after last year. And then my daughter was born like that next week after I walked off the course. And then, so it's been a year since then. I will say that I'm incredibly lucky. These are two events that I just are locked into every single year. And my wife is very, very understanding. So that's my answer. I'm lucky.
Yes, you are, my friend. I just wonder, does your wife have any older sisters than aunts that you might want to introduce me to that have no problem with me playing golf all day on Saturday and Sunday?
I'll get back to you on that one. I'll get back to you on that one. Thanks, Grady.
Hey, love your show, man. Love it.
Appreciate it. That's a good call. Yes, it should be noted. It should be noted that my wife took care of my daughter this weekend. They went to They had a play date with a dog. My daughter is really taking a liking to dogs, much to my dismay. But my brother-in-law and his wife came over and brought their little tiny dog, and she really enjoyed that time. And then they went to the pool yesterday. So yes, thank you to my wife for taking care of my child while I was out not making any money. In fact, spending a whole bunch of money playing golf, sweating, drinking beers, hanging out with my friends, and winning golf tournaments.
Very productive weekend for the Happers.
It was. And it takes a team to do so. You know, not everybody can be everywhere at once. But yes, it should be noted that I do. I am very, very lucky to have my very supportive wife. By the way, we get a couple of YouTube comments here saying that I will be a dog owner. I don't know. I don't know the answer. She really, really, really likes dogs, but I don't know. Like, it's kind of the only thing she likes right now. We'll see what else she kind of gets into. You know what I mean? She's like, oh, that's cool, dogs, and she kind of, you know, makes noises and seems to very much enjoy it. So, you know, maybe by the time that she could communicate the idea that she could actually have one of those dogs and might want one of those dogs, then she will have moved on to something else. She'll find a new love.
This is usually the time to test the waters on certain areas in the family.
1 year old.
Still exploring the opportunities.
Exactly. There's a lot of potential out there to be interested in things that aren't dogs. So we're excited about that. But Theo writes in, dogs are better than people, which is something I vehemently disagree with. I love people. I'm always this whole thing has never been about me and my distaste for dogs. It's been about me being pro-human. I'm pro-human.
That's a good poll question.
Are you pro-human, or are you do you like humans or dogs more?
Either or.
Okay, well, whichever one you feel. You have clearance on both of those. Just throw those out there. I have an idea of which one's better, humans or dogs. Poll question is going to go. Those usually go against me. All right, so welcome to the show. Elsewhere today, I do want to spend a couple minutes talking about Happy Gilmore too when we return. I don't know exactly where the public landed on this, but like I said, I very much enjoyed it because I knew kind of what I was getting into. We have the war that has begun and is now well underway of conferences and coaches and people who carry water for these conferences hating preseason polls. Out of all the things to be mad about in college sports these days, we have now turned our attention to preseason polls, apparently. So we'll discuss that today. Joey, we'll check in with your friend Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, yeah. He's up to something.
He is always up to something. In this case, he would like to have a word with Terry Bradshaw. He'd like to hang
out of all people.
Yeah, he'd like to hang out with Terry Bradshaw. Today, coming up at noon, that's probably about the time Matt Rule will be speaking to after Nebraska had their first fall camp practice today. It will also be the time that Deion Sanders and his medical team will be holding a totally normal press conference today.
Interesting.
At very normal, very, very appropriate. Just bring the doctors out there and have the doctors answer or not answer questions because of HIPAA. Trade deadline, lose a little bit of sizzle over the weekend thanks to my Kansas City Royals. We'll get into, like I said, the formula for Nebraska this season as we start fall camp. Yeah, we're gonna hit the ground running here. And then a couple other things. Maybe we should check in with Dave Aranda from over the weekend. Did you see what Dave Aranda said on Friday?
I haven't seen that.
Well, he has it appears that he might have a favorite movie, like your coach of the Boston Celtics loves The Town.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like Dave Aranda's favorite movie might be Wolf of Wall Street, and he had an anecdote that he used from that movie that we can maybe discuss a little bit today on the show, and then whatever else comes up as well. And you all today on the show. John writes in, is Joey's email jcolbert@energymedia.com? I know he has said it before, but I don't remember it. Yes, that is right.
Yes, it is.
Send Joey your emails. Send Joey your emails.
Go right on ahead. Fire it away. I'm here all week.
Rob writes in on the text line, you earned something far more valuable than money this weekend. You earned a year's worth of bragging rights, my friend. That is exactly right. Although I'm having a difficult time, like processing the whole thing just because of I just played completely out of my mind, and I know that, but that's the goal, right? So I felt great, but I knew I would have to kind of hang on to the lead. I had a 5-stroke lead going into on the leaderboard going into Sunday, and I kind of just had to hang on, and I just played fine yesterday. And then I was exhausted and I was sweaty and the entire thing. But yes, I did get the bragging rights and the lovely crystal chalice, as we call it. For all my friends from the Bromaha Open who are listening right now, I'm honored to be your champion yet again. Here we are. Dinner's on me next year. That's the way we do it at the Champions Dinner. We just have to find out what's on the menu. But we got a year to plan.
Got plenty of time.
We got a year to plan. I got a texter right now who writes in his favorite part of Happy Gilmore 2. I'll read that text, and we'll talk about it for a few minutes when we return. It maybe was like the sports story of the weekend. Once again, no shave today. Sam McEwen will join us coming up at 1. We'll be back after this on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. All right, Joey, I got some NFL news for you. Ready for this?
Yeah.
I get a tweet here from Cordero Patterson. Remember Cordero Patterson?
Oh, yeah. Memories from his time at Minnesota.
So, Cordero Patterson, as of 5 minutes ago, tweeted this. Breaking news, Pittsburgh Steelers release old, washed-up Cordero Patterson on his day off. 3 exclamation points. So it appears that Cordero Patterson has been released from the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, no.
Put it on the internet. You heard it here first.
Wonder if the specific someone had something to do with it. Particular quarterback.
Oh, you think Aaron Rodgers did this? I don't know. Don't put that on Aaron Rodgers. He's a great guy. He just wants Terry Bradshaw to know him a little bit more. Yeah, we'll get to that one a little bit later. All right, so over the weekend, there was a movie that came out, and the opinions varied online quite drastically. It seemed like I don't know that anybody was like, this is the best. I'm having the best time ever, that kind of thing. Or I don't know that anybody thought this is going to eclipse the first movie and make me forget that Happy Gilmore ever existed. No, and it was never supposed to do that. But there was also some people who were like, hey, look, I saw one of the buff college football guys, Josh Pate. He was like, hey, look, man, I tried with this thing. I couldn't do it. I don't think Josh or anybody else who was like, this movie sucked and I didn't like it at all. I don't think that person was in the right state of mind for watching the movie. I saw it, and thanks to Jacob Bigelow for sending this along to me. He sent me a tweet that said, being disappointed in Happy Gilmore 2 is like being disappointed in a gas station hot dog. It was never pretending to be something that it wasn't. That I find extremely accurate. And so you had to be in it for the cameos, and you knew it was going to be stupid. You knew it was going to be some weird, crazy, far-fetched story, because the story of Happy Gilmore is a weird, crazy, far-fetched story. Yep. It's a guy who just so happens to hit the golf ball an undisclosed amount of yards, but he thought of himself his entire life as a hockey player, right? And he putts with a hockey stick, and he won basically the equivalent of the Masters against Shooter McGavin because a car ran into the TV tower on the 18th green, and it created a putt-putt golf course so he could putt it up the thing and down the thing and into the hole. Does that sound a little far-fetched? Because it does to me. It does to me a little bit. So yeah, I think it was probably okay to expect this one to be either even further far-fetched or just a little bit more ridiculous, considering we are 30 more years down the line. And I have no problem with Adam Sandler wanting to get his friends together or people that he doesn't know and just a whole bunch of famous people into a movie and say, let's just chop it up for a little while and let's have some fun. I love that. I love that idea. And then it ended up being like I said, I ended up thoroughly enjoying myself during the movie. We got a text here from the 513, and if we'll try not to get into spoilers, although I mean, do we really? I mean, there's no real spoiling the movie. It's you know how it's going to go.
The good guys win. Yeah. Basically, the good guys win. Yes. If you know the ending to the first movie, the good guys win. It's going to be the same thing.
This is not going to be some gut-wrenching, like, oh, they're going to get to the championship game and then lose and everybody learns a lesson. No, it's not going to be that way at all. So yes, Joey, I'm glad you said it that way. The good guys win at the end. Happy Gilmore saves regular golf. They make an entire bit about the whole live golf versus PGA thing, which was, in my mind, funny. Obviously, they took it to a very high degree, right? Live golf is not what the portrayed maxi golf
They took it to like a cartoonish level, basically how they displayed the event itself.
Exactly.
That's how I perceived
it. Was funny.
It was good.
It was funny. So the text on 513 says this: best part of Happy Gilmore is John Daly, and it's not even close. So I had a friend when we played on Saturday, and I didn't watch a movie until Saturday night. A friend of mine had watched it. I asked him if he watched it. He was like, "Yeah, I watched it." And the one thing he told me was John Daly has an incredible role in this movie. I won't tell you what it is, but he has an incredible role in this movie. I will go a little bit further and tell you all that I belly laughed the first time we saw John Daly on screen, and he was introduced as Uncle John Daly.
Yeah.
And he just has a bunch of zingers and one-liners throughout the entirety of the movie, and by the end of it is enjoying himself hand sanitizer. So that's the kind of stupidity that we're looking for here.
That was the bit I liked from the movie. Just it was a usual thing that you saw throughout the 2 hours.
Exactly. So maybe some people were too hard on it. It's not going to win any Oscars. I was laughing pretty consistently throughout. I played golf this weekend, like I said, and I could not stop saying regular golf the entire time. I might actually start referring to live as Maxi Golf now. That will be funny.
Just get a shirt or a hat. Just wear it. It says regular golf.
Well, he had the hat. So I immediately looked online. I'm like, oh my God, I have to find this hat. Can I create a hat that says regular golf on it? Because I actually kind of want that hat. Winners of the movie were John Daly, Will Zalatoris.
Yes.
Great role for Will Zalatoris,
Bad
professional
Bunny.
golfer Will Zalatoris. Absolutely 100% Bad Bunny, who I had no idea was funny at all, point blank period.
I think Travis Kelce had a lot of fun in that movie.
He did. He popped up in a dream sequence, let's say. But, it was formulaic, right? So when Bad Bunny, his character is named Oscar, and he's the busboy at the champions dinner getting ready for, whatever big golf event. And he gets fired by Travis Kelce, who is the boss. And and I'm like, he's going to be the caddy. And there you go. He ends up being the caddy. He has basically no idea what golf is, just like the first caddy in the original movie. And then, of course, Scotty Scheffler. The man could do no wrong. He apparently can act now too, being Scotty Scheffler the entire time. He can't, he's fantastic.
Poked a lot of fun into himself based on the recent events that took place involving him.
His arrest.
Yes.
And subsequent release. And then at this one, he was arrested again and decided that he was going to stay in the holding cell for a little bit longer at the end of the movie. Joel writes in on Twitter. He says, it was so much better than I thought it would be. They didn't just phone in the old jokes. They worked them in pretty well. Yeah, I mean, there was very few things. There was very few things about the movie that I was like, oh, this isn't quite hitting for me. And even if there was, they would have been completely overshadowed and outweighed by the things that I thought were funny. But I like stupid stuff. Like, one of my favorite movies of all time is Dumb and Dumber. I like stupid stuff. I guess if you don't like stupid movies, then this isn't for you.
You're not a fan of fun.
Or if you don't like sports, or if you don't like, when celebrity, if you don't point at your screen and go, every time a random celebrity shows up on screen or something like that. It was enjoyable for me. I liked it quite a bit. So I don't know where the public falls on this thing. It feels like there's a building like war, this was horrible. I can't believe I wasted 2 hours of my life doing this. And then the other side is just like me, and we're saying, yeah, I enjoyed it. Why isn't there's been a lot worse movies made, right?
Yeah,
there's been a lot worse movies made. So I've seen a couple of them. This one does not quite register in that category. So there you go. There's my quick, hopefully non spoilery happy. I would encourage people to watch it. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, it'll be worth it. You'll have a good time. Just don't have too much expectations. That's pretty much the key for watching these sequels, especially if it's like a 30-year difference.
So when we heard about it, when we heard that it was going to exist like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, the only thing people were worried about was, okay, hopefully it just doesn't ruin the first one, because sometimes the sequels just, they're so bad they make you forget the first one existed in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
And this absolutely did not do that.
And there was
I had low expectations.
There was a lot of callbacks to the first movie when you met characters from the first movie, like Boban Marjanovic.
Yeah, Boban.
He made a cameo as the son of that one actor.
Yes, the Frankenstein looking
Frankenstein guy. Yeah.
Frankenstein's fat foot. By the way, shout out to, looks like, well, I guess I didn't look hard enough on the internet. John emails into the show a link to the regular golf hat that I could purchase. So thanks to our friends at Mitchell Engraving. I will not apparently need you to make a regular golf hat for me, but I
send me the
appreciate
link.
the offer.
Send me the link.
Oh yeah, I'll send you the link, but keep it on the download because I don't need these things sold out in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
All right, we will be back. 11 o'clock hour is coming up. We'll dive into some what people are thinking about the practice and the grass and things in between there today. We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone. Folks, don't we love this day? By the way, before we get to football, Jim asked if we could put the link to that John sent me from the regular golf hat into the chat. I did on YouTube, but when I went to put in my payment, it says they were not accepting payments at this time, which is just an odd thing to say. We're not accepting payments. You could take my money, but they don't have any. Apparently, they don't have any hats to give me at this point, which makes a lot of sense because a lot of people watched that movie over the weekend and probably thought, "Wow, this is a great idea." Regular golf. regular golf.
Wonder if Rob Lowe's got a hat for himself
He probably
to wear it for the next Masters or Open Championship.
His would just say, since he's such a fan of being neutral and just saying NFL, his might just say golf or something, which there's already many hats with large letters that say golf on them that I've already seen out there. That's for sure. So by the way, we got this from before. Asia Joe writes into the show on Twitter, wondering if you could help decide a disagreement I'm having at work with a poll question. Whose version of life is a highway is better, Rascal Flatts or Tom Cochran's? So Stibbs immediately responded to him, was like, come on, are you kidding me? It's and I assume he obviously thinks it's Tom Cochran's version. Guess what? Rascal Flatts. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's poppy. It's I understand. I understand why you would think that it's worse than the non-original version of Life is a Highway, but give me Rascal Flatts, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. That's it. Headley writes in easily Rascal Flatts. Have you seen the Cars movie? Exactly, Headley. All right. Not any more golf, football. So today's the first day of fall camp, and many of the reporters are just getting out their observations right now from the first day. Seems like, yes, grass is going to be a topic. This is what led the Omaha World Herald notes today that were put out by Sam McHugh, Evan Bland, and Wilson Moore just a few minutes ago as they compiled theirs. So I think we're also, and we'll hear this from Rule coming up at, whenever he talks, I think probably within the next hour or so. He'll speak with the media, and I think one of the questions they'll probably be asked from him is basically which position battles should people be keeping an eye on. There's a few of them out there. I think people's eyes immediately go to the running back room, and they see kind of who's sharing those second team running back carries at this point. Obviously, it's very early. They're not in pads yet. It's the first practice, so there's no real takeaways from it. But you can get an idea of where the coaching staff thinks these people are, because you do have to have, like if the season started today, then here's where we would be, and that determines the order in which people go and stuff like that. And so that's obviously one of them that we'll be tracking all fall camp long for the next month, for the next one entire month, by the way, before the first game coming up on August 28th. Today is July 28th. So who's going to get into that second running back spot behind Emmett Johnson? There are carries to be had at that position, and maybe for the third guy too. Who knows? I think people are looking to the offensive line. I think there's some things that have been kind of assumed and decided there. Rocco Spindler is going to have a spot at a guard, at the left guard. Center is going to be Justin Evans. Henry Lutovsky is likely a starter. There was some conversation about him in the offseason about being a tackle. It feels like that's probably not happening at this point. And then I think you kind of have multiple guys who are in this kind of, this cauldron, this pot that you sort of stir around. And that's for both of the tackle spots. Apparently both of the tackle spots, which I think is maybe a little bit of a revelation today. And we'll get some maybe some more clarity from Matt Rule when he speaks coming up soon. But it maybe appears that they're leaving it open-ended, maybe more so than we thought at left tackle. The assumed starter was the transfer from Alabama, Elijah Pritchett, who was seen taking reps with the second group today. I'm sure he got some reps with the first group as well. Gunnar Gatula is there. He's back. He's healthy. Teddy Prohaska is going to have an opportunity to put some practices together and prove that he could stay healthy and be a player at one of those tackle spots. Tyler Canuck appears to be the first option at right tackle. There's Prohaska. And then we know the middle spots sort of on the line there. So the tackle positions, and apparently both of them, will be a really interesting thing to watch. And then I think there's probably some stuff going on, on the non-starter front, whether it be at some of those, linebacker positions like the jack linebacker or in the defensive backfield, there might be some room for some snaps beyond all of the guys that you bring back from a year ago who are assumed to be in there. You want to hear that those second teamers are kind of pushing them a little bit. And then I think, we haven't really heard Rule talk yet about their new punter, Archie Wilson, who was, I just saw a video of him doing rugby punts, and we'll see. Obviously we'll probably get more on this when Eckler speaks, and I don't think that's coming up until at least next week, potentially at this point. I have to double check the schedule on that again. But, what's that picture look like? And how's it coming along? I don't know that, I think there's probably a kicker battle too. I don't know that people necessarily care who the specialists are, who the kicker and the punter are, although it's going to be Archie Wilson, it feels, at punter, because they let go of their punter that they got in the transfer portal this offseason, who was here in spring and immediately entered the transfer portal after that because they said, hey, we're going to kind of change direction on this thing. I don't think that people necessarily care who it's going to be there as long as the picture looks okay. And then obviously the return spots as well. So I think that's kind of how you start the conversation today. You set the you set the tone, you set the, here's where we're starting, we'll see where we finish, that kind of thing. And you kind of go from there. So that'll be what to expect. And we'll either grab some audio from Matt Rule and be able to get it on the show, or we will just pass along the quotes to you all as well whenever that happens. Wow, people are coming out with their observations. Now, here's Sipple. Carter Nelson looks transformed. Emmett Johnson is at RB1, no question. We already knew that. Aussie punter alert. Raiola to Barney, don't ever sleep on it. First impressions. Sipple. Come on. Sipple writes, in his tweet, first impressions, roster looks great. I think, and we'll get into this coming up in the noon hour when we talk about the formula for Nebraska football. There is reason to believe that this is Nebraska's best roster that they have had since Matt Rule has been here. But I wonder, and we will wonder out loud together coming up at noon, what their formula will be. Right? We know what it's been the last 2 years. It's been, I don't know what the right term for it is. I'm going to call it mud ball. It's been slow, it's been heavy, and I would imagine that it's a welcome sight from these players who have been here for a couple years, especially the quarterback, who's now going into his second year, that they say, no, we are going to infuse some energy into this thing. We're going to get things moving a little bit faster. And in order to do that, you need to be a certain way on defense as well. If they go a little bit fast, the reason that part of the reason they had gone so slow, obviously dependent on quarterback over the last couple of years, the reason they had gone so slow is because of, yes, the limitations of the offense, but also it played into the strengths of your defense as well. They kind of kept things in front of them and were able to stop the run really well. What will that picture be like this year? Once again, we'll get to that coming up at noon today. But Joey, so there is a war going on right now. This cropped up even more over the weekend. We talked about it on this show. I would like to read you a tweet from Adam Rittenberg.
Okay, yeah.
Of ESPN.
Go on ahead.
Thank you. Here's what it says. This wasn't among the talking points for Big Ten coaches and officials in Las Vegas, but I brought it up to several and they agreed. The preseason polls. Now, we'll discuss what we think he's talking about, but he says the preseason polls should be obliterated. They carry too much meaning and shape debate, overhauling and undervaluing teams before we know anything. Here's a question for you guys. Have you ever looked at a poll and thought that poll carries too much weight? I always thought the main thing that we talk about with polls is how meaningless they were.
Oh, they are.
Isn't that the thing that we talk about every year? They're meaningless.
Nothing has happened yet, and those polls are basically our expectations more than reality. Those change over time.
Correct. All we ever talk about from polls on this show and the feedback that we get from you guys is like, who cares about these stupid polls? Who cares about the preseason polls? Who cares about where you're picked to finish in the league? Just go win games. Who cares about where you're picked to, are you in the top 25 or not in the top 25? I don't care about any of that stuff. Well, it'll work itself out at the end. That is all we ever talk about as it pertains to the polls. So what the hell are we doing now that apparently polls carry too much weight? They carry too much weight. Nobody cares about what anybody is ranked until basically October anyway.
Basically, after the non-conference is done, we're rolling into conference football matchups.
Yeah, and you're probably a couple weeks deep. I would say 6 games.
I would say halfway through, yeah.
6 games pretty comfortably. That's when we start looking at it. It's like, oh, wow, they're having a nice start to their season. Let's check in on them. Of course, we're talking about, if you're a Nebraska fan, getting insight on other teams. You want to see the world, the environment, the ecosystem in which you live in, at least to a tangential degree. So that's the first time anyone starts to really pay attention to them. Nebraska's been ranked in 3 separate weeks over the last decade, basically.
Crazy.
And they're all early season. It's all I think there was 1 preseason week in there, and then there was 2 before week 3.
Yeah.
Times that they have been ranked.
I think the only preseason ranking they had was going into the 2019 season, I would say.
Yes, I believe that is correct.
Yep.
Yes, and then they lost to Colorado and it was over. So first of all, I just think the narrative is bunk. I just think the narrative is so weird, and we saw this with the Big 12. They said, hey, we're not going to do this. We're not going to choose anymore. We're not going to do preseason. This team is this anymore because we thought it affected too much as it pertains to the college football playoff. Arizona State, were they really a victim of that last year? I can't say that they were. You're not going to be able to narrative the bottom line here is this. You're not going to be able to narrative your way or unnarrative your way into working yourself into the conversation or out of the conversation for the college football playoff. It always so we've seen an influx of this over the last, several weeks, especially. You can't narrative your way in or out of the college football playoff. I shouldn't say never, but very few circumstances would dictate that because it almost always works itself out. And it goes along with the same thought process of why people apparently have now turned on the committee. That was a big talking point at Big Ten Media Days last week. We just want to have the committee, those people in that room, to have the least amount of impact that they could possibly have. It's the boogeyman. It's a complete scarecrow. It is not a huge factor in deciding who gets to play for a national championship or hell, who even gets to make the college football playoff. I said it last week and I'll say it again. Almost every single time that we've done this and we've had a selection committee for the playoff for over a decade now, whether it be 4 or last year 12 teams, almost every single time it's cut and dry. Almost every single time you have and it's not because of who's ranked where in the preseason polls, and it's not because some committee is out to get you or, hates your school or something like that. It's so weird to me how we've turned our attention to this. So I don't understand as it pertains to the preseason polls, why can't we just have some fun for a second? Why can't we just have some fun? And for the schools who are against this and the coaches and I get it. They want to clear everything out and they want to retrain people and they want to make them hungry at the beginning of the year. In my mind, this sentiment really probably comes from the top of the conferences, the teams who are picked near the top of their leagues or near the top of the top 25, not necessarily the teams who are left out of the top 25 or picked 12th out of 14 teams in a league or 17th out of 18 teams in the league. Those teams, yes, they have their own problems. This is first world problems. This is for the rich in college football. I feel like they're scared of expectations. I'm sorry. This has always been the thing in sports. And guess what? People are going to figure it out either way. If you were good last year and maybe you made the playoff and you bring everybody back from that playoff team and you like the transfer portal haul that you've gotten and you liked your recruiting class and you maybe hired a good defensive coordinator or something like that, you're going to be projected to be good the next year. You are. It's a fact of life. Why are we running from this? Sorry, good teams, you should be good. And yes, and that doesn't happen out of thin air, by the way. That doesn't happen because some guy on the internet just said, yeah, I think it's this team. When I refer to preseason polls in college football, yes, we look at the AP Top 25, which is a conglomerate poll that is voted on by hundreds of writers from all across the country. So maybe a West Coast writer is biased because they have Oregon at number 2 or something like that, and somebody else on the East Coast has no idea what they're doing and they rank them number 14 or something like that. That's a part of the equation. It's the same thing with the Heisman voting. It's the same thing with Baseball Hall of Fame, all these things. But once you pile up these hundreds and hundreds of people to make one poll, you're going to get a pretty good general assessment of what people think it is. And that's all it is. It's not one guy. It's a general assessment of what people think of you going into the season. They don't happen out of thin air. This is a collective decision based on the world of college football and the ecosystem that we live in. So, yeah, I'm sorry, good teams. You should be good. I'm sorry. Sometimes in college football, there is expectations on you. And yeah, if you don't live up to those expectations, sometimes it costs you your job. But nobody's ever fired anybody because they weren't ranked and they should have been ranked, or they were ranked and they you know what I mean? Like, that's not a part of the decision making. It's way more abstract and way more things go into it than just that. But I can't figure it out. And this is now, it's been building for several weeks now. We talk about like I said, when we talk about the committees and we talk about the preseason polls, and apparently coming off of this run of media days over the last 3 weeks, whether it be the Big Ten, the SEC, or any other conference out there, apparently the consensus amongst the coaches in the league is that they hate preseason polls, which has always been a thing. Coaches have always hated the preseason polls, but now they feel like they have the weight that they can throw around to just outright blow them up. That's stupid. I'm not sitting here saying, oh my God, I really need these preseason polls, but it's a thing that harmlessly exists in our society. Why do we need to blow it up? It doesn't, like, you were focused on the wrong thing. You're focused on the wrong thing. That's my takeaway from all this stuff. So I see the people who carry water for, Rittenberg, whatever, for these conferences, and they're like, I tell you what, these preseason polls, they're bunk. They're garbage. We need to get them out of there. I'm like, dude, why?
It's there for a reason, and
it's there.
It's always been there.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense to me.
And it's healthy to have expectations. That's why those rankings are there. And then if things go well, you go up, and if things don't, you go down.
Yeah, and it's
ladders and slides.
Yeah, and when you're 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 weeks into the season, it's pretty clear who the teams are going to be that are up near the top because they've won all their games.
Beating those teams with a higher ranking will help build those resumes, and some of those higher ranking teams losing to those inferior opponents that may not do so good for their resume.
But now we're saying that they have too much importance. It's absurd to me. It does not make any sense. A couple thoughts from you all on the subject. John writes in, fun is no longer allowed, Connor. Anywhere, anytime. You are lucky no one outside of your golf group knew what you did on Saturday. Someone would have tried to ruin it. That's a great point. That is a great point. Jeff writes in, so I've floated this idea over the last couple weeks here. Jeff writes in, he says, Just go back to the computer model we all used to hate. Yes, it's such a great point. What will we do when the BCS existed? The value of your team is not based on what a computer thinks of you.
It's basically going to go back to AI. Things.
That's probably true. We need humans in the room. We need humans to decide these things. Only they, the humans, can decide the value at which you should value a college football team. And now that the humans are apparently not doing it right or are doing too much or are too important, we say no more humans, and in fact, no more computers either. Just blow the whole thing up. I'm like, dude, you guys just can't stop complaining about just about everything. Venmo Chris writes in, says people are so worried about perception these days that anything even hinting at failure will be filtered out over time. Yeah, like I suppose from the coach's point of view, they're probably thinking, if you're really, really galaxy braining this thing, like let me try and transport myself into galaxy brain head coach mode. Okay. Preseason poll comes out. We're not in the top 25, but we maybe should be in the top 25, or we're picked. Actually, maybe more important. Like we are picked 9th out of 18 teams in the Big Ten, or we're picked 12th out of 18 teams in the Big Ten. Crap. Does this mean that a recruit is going to come up to me, or a guy in the transfer portal is going to come up to me, and he's going to say, hey, you guys were not picked toward the front of the conference. What's up with that? I'm not going to your school. If that happens to you, you should cut all ties with that recruit immediately. Or you should be able to easily and concisely explain why you will not finish at that point that you don't want to finish in the Big Ten, and why you're going to win the Big Ten, because ultimately you were a salesperson for your school when you're talking to recruiting. And you should say, yeah, I know what they think of us, but we're going to shock the world. Plain and simple. It's easy. Perception is perception. And yes, sometimes it is difficult to shake the perception, but geez, give me a break. Mustache Adam writes in, Jeff Sagarin, you suck. As in Evan Burrows, you suck. And Mitchell writes in, I think most people hate the preseason polls between weeks 2 and 5. Why is a 2-2 team ever needed to be ranked ahead of someone 4-0? Okay, that's when this completely factors perfectly into why I hate this, because once again, the claim from apparently Big Ten coaches and personnel is that the polls are too important. If you care about what you're ranked, if you're behind a 2-2 team and you're 4-0 after week 4 of the season, and you're like, this is garbage and we are never going to recover from this because the perception is that we suck, then you need to worry about better things. Just go think about something else. All right. Ziggy writes in, notice how college football went to bleep after we expanded from a 14 playoff? Weird. Yeah. Super weird. Super, super weird. All right. When we come back, couple things more that we'd like to discuss. Maybe we'll check in with Joey's best friend, Aaron Rodgers, and some things that happened over the weekend.
I haven't seen him in a while.
Also, a home run that was not even close to being a foul ball, but the announcer would not have made you think that. We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone. right, welcome back. Happy Monday. Connor Happer, Joey Colbert with you here on the Connor Happer Show. 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. We'll continue to pass along some things from Matt Rule. He's speaking right now, post-practice for Nebraska, but predictably one of the first things off the top rope here, Joey, was Nebraska coach Matt Rule on the new grass fields. Quote, "It's like being on Augusta or one of those great golf courses." Now, he could have got really specific. He could have, mentioned a local golf course or something like that. Now, that would have won him some points.
There's plenty of golf courses.
If he wanted to go play free golf somewhere, he could have said anything just out. It looks just like Corey Oaks.
You could spend time
and then all of a sudden, he's out playing Corey Oaks for free.
Spend time watching you hoist a trophy.
That's right. He could have said Shoreline. I don't think I don't know if they want their grass to look exactly like that. But many esteemed golf courses, of course, around the metro that he could have mentioned, or in Lincoln. So we'll have more on that coming up in just a little while once we sort of compile everything here. By the way, I wanted to pass this along. Here's some Creighton news, by the way. Honk honk. Here, Joey, turn up this pod over here so I can give him a honk honk. On the B bar. There we go.
Honk honk.
I know people like it when I talk about Creighton. Creighton men's basketball has added to their coaching staff. They have officially added 4 members to their staff while promoting Mitch Ballack to full-time assistant coach. Congratulations to Mitch. They think Mac thinks very highly of Mitch. I mean, he was a big part of what they've done ever since when he was a player here. Obviously, he was a huge part of what they did, but immediately became an incredibly valuable asset to Creighton. So Mitch is going to be rewarded with a full-time assistant spot. That is awesome for him, and I think it's a big win for Creighton as well. Also, Mike Nesbitt was named an assistant coach, while Julian Berry, Malik Garner, Jeff Grizzell were named
familiar name
GAs. That's right. I was at that practice. Oh, it was probably a week or two ago now, and they had Jeff Grizzell and Mitch was out there doing some kind of wear a red jersey or wear a green jersey or something like that, and kind of be the guys on the other side to scout. Hey, gives you a pretty good look when those guys are pretty good players in their own right. Nesbitt is the new name. He was with Huss at High Point for the last 2 years, and so he comes along with him. And of course, Huss is in that coach and waiting spot. It's kind of a stacked staff. Of course, Creighton lost a few important pieces to their staff off of last year. Ryan Miller went to be the coach at Murray State. Jahans Manigat went with him. And Lucas Vargas, their video guy, went to take a job with the Lakers.
LA.
This offseason. So there you go. There's your honking for the day.
Honk honk.
Go. Very, very well deserved from Mitch Ballack, who is quickly elevated himself to be an assistant on this staff. And yeah, they think very, very highly of him.
Coaching tree is growing for Mac.
It is. That's true. Soon enough, Mitch will be a head
evolving.
coach somewhere, and then you'll just keep on rolling that thing. And then eventually it'll be the Huss coaching tree. Just imagine that'll be a weird world. All right, Joey, I'm going to give you some options here on what we're going to do before we get to the odd news. So would you like to hear from Aaron Rodgers, or would you like to hear from Ichiro?
Might as well hear from Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Let's get it out of the way.
So I didn't know about this beef that apparently Terry Bradshaw and Aaron Rodgers have. Where does this stem from, Joey?
It was stemmed from the idea of Rodgers signing with the Steelers and his offseason decision-making, and Bradshaw was just kind of tired of Rodgers kind of waiting it out like he's always done. So he made the comments he made saying doesn't want him in Pittsburgh. Just go chew bark and do whatever the heck he likes to do.
That's the line. Okay, so keep that in mind when we hear this here from Aaron Rodgers. We're going to go on the video stream on this one. Here's Rodgers sitting down with Kyle Brandt, who's wearing a Jerome Bettis jersey. Nice job by him over the weekend at training camp.
Very amused, Aaron, by your observations of the media. Okay? Everybody's going to get a little squirrely now. Someone had a nuclear take on you. Terry Bradshaw, number 12 from the Steelers. Terry Bradshaw says, Rodgers to the Steelers. I wrote it down because I want to get it right. It's a joke. Stay in California, chew on bark, and whisper to the gods.
Well, I whisper to the gods every single day.
Damn right.
I've known Terry for a long time, being a part of Fox. Terry's a legend. He's an absolute legend. He won 4 Super Bowls. He's had a legendary career in the media. But Terry, like a lot of people, doesn't know me. And so he's got an idea of what he thinks about me based on what I've done, the documentary, what I've said, Darkness Retreat, whatever the hell you want to talk about. I'd love to get to know Terry on a deeper level. And I feel like if he gave me a chance to get to know him, then we'd have a good friendship, because for me, I have nothing but the utmost amount of respect and deference for what the greats have done, because they laid the foundation for us to be able to play in this great game, to be paid like kings, and to carry on the tradition of excellence that guys like the Bradshaws of the world in the 70s and Bart Starr in the 60s and Lombardi and Joe Montana and Steve Young and Troy Aikman and Brett Favre and all the greats that have been over, Tom Brady, you know, we're standing on the backs of those guys, and it's because of how they played and how they carried themselves that we're able to have this opportunity to still play this great game, to get paid really well, to set ourselves up for our future. So I'd love to get to know Terry on a deeper level if he's open to it, and maybe we can go chew some bark or whatever the hell he's talking about together.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's Aaron Rodgers.
Would you chew bark with Aaron Rodgers?
There you go. Good poll question. Put that one up for sure. I would, if Aaron Rodgers invited me out to California to chew bark with him, I'd probably chew some bark with him. You know,
have a nice time with him.
I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing. Could it help? Do these darkness retreats and the ayahuasca or whatever? Do they help you? I'm willing to dive into those waters. Apparently, Terry Bradshaw is not willing to do this. So
he's a grumpy old man.
A couple takeaways here. I don't know if this is number one. These are in no specific order. Every time I hear Aaron Rodgers talk, he sounds like he speaks in a different accent. I don't know. He's always done that throughout his career. I don't know what his actual voice sounds like, but he really, he tries to kind of endear himself to locals and that entire thing. And he seems like he tries to fit in with wherever he is. When he's in New York, he's a little bit more, flashy, slick back hair, New Yorky, right? And then when he's in Green Bay, he had the long hair and a variety of different things. And there was, of course, that one time when he was definitely not hopped up on painkillers, when he had like a super country accent. My knee. Yeah, that was a great time.
That was back in the 20-0 comeback against the Bears. He got hurt.
There you go.
Going into halftime.
Yeah.
I'm sure young Matt McMaster remembers.
Matt, if you're listening, sorry.
Randall Cobb.
Shots from halfway across the country to Matt McMaster. But second thing, it was actually a good answer.
Yeah.
It was actually a good answer. He actually, like, if I have to take sides in an Aaron Rodgers versus Terry Bradshaw showdown, based on what I have seen and heard so far, I might take Aaron Rodgers' side.
He speaks respectfully about Terry Bradshaw. He knows to be respectful when things are said about him.
He's always been
and he
generally pretty good at that.
Yeah,
except for with a couple.
Yeah, he's not afraid. He's not afraid to speak his mind.
No,
whatsoever. We've seen that from the Pat McAfee show.
He is definitely not afraid to do that.
I haven't even watched the 3-part documentary. Don't know if I will.
I think I might have watched one of those episodes. It was so. So that brings me, Joey, perfectly to the third thing. So he said in there, the thing that maybe bothers me the most when Aaron Rodgers says this, he says, "You don't know me." Aaron, nobody knows you. He's right about Terry Bradshaw. Nobody knows you.
Yep.
We just have to go off of the things you do and say in your career.
Exactly.
But he always talks about how, man, these guys don't know me. What these guys don't know. Okay, well then show them. Show them. You've had a 20-year NFL career to show people who you are, and people haven't really figured that out yet. He's an enigma. Nobody knows what he's going to do at any given moment. And
good call back to the title.
There are some like things that are beyond your control as far as the narratives that come out about you when we don't really know what you're going to do at any given moment, or you have, these varying opinions on a whole bunch of a wide ranging subject matters.
How the world works.
Yes. Right.
Aaron Rodgers.
So I don't know what he's ever thinking. I don't know what he's ever going to do at any given moment. And so he always says crap like that. He always is like, man, that's not what I am. You don't know me. Okay. Who are you? It's amazing that we're 20 years into his NFL career and we don't know who he is. But I think that's the way he likes it, because he always is able to maintain that plausible deniability.
He likes that mysterious persona.
Yeah, he really does. And that's okay. But don't be surprised when people say some stuff about you that you probably don't want said, because you're not perfectly curating this whole personality thing. Not that we need to, not that we need professional athletes to be robots or, whatever it is, or always, it's sometimes guys fly off the handle or they change things in their personal life and professional life and all that stuff like that happens. We don't need them to be robots or anything like that. But Aaron Rodgers just keeps on saying, hey, nobody knows who I am. I know. That's why people don't understand you. You could tell them, you could show them, but I think we're probably just going to keep going down this road at that point.
Pretty much have a good idea about Aaron Rodgers
yeah,
for those 17 years in Green Bay.
Yeah, it's funny. All these things together, yeah, you do get a pretty good picture. Maybe we actually do know at the end of the day. Here is Aaron on the text line. Rodgers didn't really take the bait. When he doesn't want to be an ass, he can have really detailed and good takes. But his brain went to mush around COVID time. But he would say to that, he would say, what are you talking about? I just was taking care of myself, just working on myself. Apparently talking in a weird accent, like Jeff says on the text line. Love how Rodgers kept his fake accent. I love that too. Thank you, Aaron, for us once again never knowing what you're going to do at any given moment. Before we get to the odd news, I have one more thing for you. So we'll get to Ichiro a little bit later on. I just wanted to play this clip because I thought it was funny. This will probably only be funny to the people who are watching along with us on YouTube, so shout out to those people today. This is Lawrence Butler in the A's-Astros series over the weekend. By the way, shout out to Nick Kurtz for hitting 4 home runs over the weekend and coming about 1.5 feet short of a fifth. That's pretty cool. This is a different home run that was hit in this series by the A's. Lawrence Butler, and you'll be able to watch the video and try and match it up with the announcer and what you hear. Here it is.
1-2 pitch. High in the air, deep to right. That ball is foul. Or gone.
Oh, boy.
That ball was absolutely launched. Law Dog posing him up at the dish. He knew it off the bat. It was just a matter of how far.
Okay, so if you're listening to us on radio, you heard the audio. That ball was not, sometimes it happens. It's fair, foul, it's near the foul pole. Usually the broadcaster will say if it's fair, if it's gone. This was a deep drive off the facade of the second deck in dead right center field. This was not close to any foul poles.
Someone probably did not bring their binoculars that day.
This was not close to any foul poles or anything like that. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe he saw something that ended up, flying off the top deck and ending up down the right field line in foul territory or something like that, and it just confused him. But I thought that made for a pretty funny clip for over the weekend. One more before we take a break. Here's a question from Ron. Why no live coverage of Rules press conference? Because first of all, we didn't know exactly when it was going to start, and it's not a formal press conference. It's just a camp press conference. Don't worry. We will still have the formal Rule press conferences on Mondays during the season, when that starts. But yeah, this is just a camp practice, and we'll get the good stuff as it comes along. It's starting to roll in a little bit now, so don't worry. We'll still be breaking that down all throughout the show today. On the home run, Mustache Adam writes in, shout out to the analyst for absolutely dunking on his play-by-play partner for saying how the batter knew it was gone. Well, there was like a 40-second clip there, and the play, I think it was, I can't remember who the play-by-play guy was. I should have wrote that down before. But he did not say anything the rest of the clip. He's probably hammering the mute button, the cough button inside the booth saying, what the hell just happened? And how did I miss that by 8 miles? Yeah, well, I guess sometimes it happens. If you do enough games, you'll end up saying something ridiculous. All right, Joey's got the odd news.
I do.
When we return on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
Here's an MLB one for you. So we mentioned how the trade deadline lost a little bit of sizzle with the Royals signing Seth Lugo for 2 extra years. Emmanuel Clase, guy who was, dominant for the Cleveland Guardians last year, he's not going to be moved either at the trade deadline, but this is for a different reason. Jeff Passan of ESPN.com. Cleveland Guardians closer Emmanuel Clase has been placed on non-disciplinary paid leave as part of MLB's sports betting investigation. Sources tell ESPN. Clase is the second Cleveland Guardians pitcher on leave tied to the investigation, joining right-hander Luis Ortiz, which, of course, was we discussed that several weeks ago now. They were watching his first pitches of a few innings, and now Emmanuel Clase is involved in this investigation as well. Don't forget the Deion Sanders will be in his medical team. Will be speaking coming up here in just a little bit as well. We'll keep a close eye on that. But first, we have the odd news. Joey, what's up?
Alrighty, Connor. You are a Denver Nuggets fan, correct?
Yes, I love the Denver Nuggets.
Well, something special happened for your star player out of the country, back in his home country of Serbia. So, Jokic loves his horses, right?
Yes. Well documented. Yes.
So there was a horse race that took place in the past weekend, and apparently the Nuggets star horse won, and he emotionally celebrated in a pretty crazy way compared to how he celebrated the NBA Finals victory.
Yeah. So we discussed this a couple weeks ago. Not this exact one. When we found out his horse or his favorite horse was his favorite horse that he owns, because he owns several.
Yeah.
Dreamcatcher, right? He won a race and he was like standing on the side, extremely happy. He appeared to be happier than he was when the Nuggets won the title 2 years ago now.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
And now his horse won again. I don't know if this is a different one or the same one. I haven't done much research on it, but
yeah, I haven't either.
I did see the video. He did look awfully, emotional about this. And yes, I think it's probably safe to say at this point that he but he has more emotional attachment to horse racing than basketball.
So basically, once his horse crossed the finish line, cameras found Jokic in tears on the side before he hopped over the gate, ran over to his horse to meet with the horse and the driver. He then helped
the driver, the jockey.
Yeah, the jockey. But he helped lift his jockey, or his driver, and sprayed and dumped champagne on the group, including the horse.
Nice.
Before he poured champagne on himself.
Those Serbian horses are built different.
But basically, in comparison to how he celebrated winning the NBA Finals, in his on-court post-game interview, he basically said, "The job is done. We can go home now." And then in the ensuing press conference, asked about the championship parade, Jokic responded, "No, I need to go home." He clarified his comments were because his horse races takes place on Sundays.
That's right.
Parade took place on the Thursday.
When is parade?
Yeah.
But then remember, of course, he went to parade, got hammered, and said, "I actually do like parade now." So, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world for a dude to, he's personally invested in these horses. It's obviously a first love for him.
Yes.
And he's super emotionally attached to it. What's wrong with that? Why do we have to make it about him hating basketball?
Yeah,
I don't think he hates basketball. I just think he doesn't like it as much as watching his horses win races.
It's called hobbies.
Yeah.
It's called personal hobbies.
It's awesome. I love it. And guess what? He's still really, really, really good at basketball.
Yep.
So I could care less about how much he cares about it.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't impact his game, it's all good.
Yeah,
so pretty much good.
He's one of the best dudes, if not the best dude in the league. So until that stops happening, then this is a non-issue for me. And it's just a very funny story about how happy. I love seeing him happy, though. I will say that.
It's amazing.
It's fantastic.
Alrighty, the second story is out in New Zealand. We talked about dogs earlier, but let's talk about cats. So, Connor, when you see outdoor cats, what do you expect them to bring in when they return home?
Like squirrels or rabbits or something like that, right?
Exactly. Well, in this particular case, this cat brought in some unusual belongings.
Okay.
You want to guess what it is?
That is a great question. It's awfully open-ended. Items. Actually, I have nowhere I could go.
Clothes.
You want to give me a category?
Clothes. It's clothes.
Clothes.
It's a variety of clothes. So we'll just say clothes.
Oh, like lingerie or something?
Yeah,
like?
basically.
Okay.
So his prolific laundry pinching from clotheslines and bedrooms in a placid beachside neighborhood outside of Auckland, New Zealand.
Okay.
This 15-month-old cat named Leonardo da Vinci.
Okay.
It turned the cat into a local celebrity because basically likes to pick up clothes. He's got an expensive taste. His frequent hauls include silk boxer shorts, thick men's work socks, preferably with clothes pins still attached, and in one mortifying episode for his humans, a brand new $300 New Zealand dollar cashmere sweater.
No kidding.
Which is
Wow.
$181 in the US.
This is a great bit. I mean,
Yeah.
he just really likes stealing the expensive stuff
Yeah.
instead of just the meaningless rabbits and squirrels and the dead things that people already find in their lawn. This is great. This is actually putting a cat to good use.
So the owner turned to a neighborhood WhatsApp group to return the stolen goods to their rightful owners.
Here's a question, Joey. If you, not to interrupt, if you train your cat or dog to go steal expensive things from places and they bring it back to you, do you maintain plausible deniability that that the cat or the dog just did that on their own? Like, can you get in trouble for that? They would have to prove that I trained the animal to actually steal the expensive things.
I would say it depends on the owner's response. If it was unexpected and they make attempts to return it back to its rightful owner, it's one thing. But if they encourage it more, then that's another thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, going back to the story, the
Yes, keep
owner
going.
went to the WhatsApp group to return the stolen goods. So her message on the app is, "Are these your undies?" Question mark. So,
Nice.
but the stash kept piling up. There's sock piles, there's underwear loads, and even a 5-foot-long stuffed snake. Crazy. So on a record-setting day, Leo returned with 9 items, enough for a full outfit if you don't mind a mix of everything from baby clothes to menswear.
Little guy is doing numbers.
Yeah.
He's like Marie Schrader on
Yeah.
Breaking Bad. It's just a klepto cat.
But another item included a sports jersey with a name printed on the back. I think it's a customized jersey.
Nice.
But the owner tried to do everything it can to curb its obsession, from attempting to keep him indoors to leaving out clothes at home for him to steal, but there's no luck.
He just likes going to this
And
one specific place.
Someone suggested that the owner should get another cat to be occupied with, but they're not willing to.
No, you're not going to stop
do
it
that
from
because
its destiny.
It's going to teach the other cat to do such a,
Then they'll have
such
an
a thing.
army of cats to steal things.
Cat army.
Nice. All right.
One more story. So this one, I'm not sure where it's at. Somewhere in the U.S. Some men are attempting a record by popping balloons between their bodies.
Okay, interesting.
So this serial Guinness World Record breaker David Rush unofficially broke a record when he and his friend popped 10 balloons between their bodies in 7.5 seconds. So they're basically using their hips. There's like a video included, but they're basically taking turns snatching the balloons and just bumping hips together.
Wow.
Popping the balloons. I think they did 10, but Rush, who has more than 181 Guinness World Record titles to his name, originally teamed up with his friend Jonathan Hollywood Hannon and popped 10 balloons between their bodies 15 seconds for their first record breaker, enough to overtake the previous, which was 17. And then once they found out the record was broken by a duo named Colin Shepard and Cameron Severson,
okay,
they decided to make another attempt for the title, which managed to get it down to 7.5. But it's not official yet because they got to send evidence to the Guinness World Records for reveal.
Of course, they have to confirm that everything happened.
Confirm it.
Gotcha. All right. It's that you can't miss. You know, if you're trying to set a world record, you have to blow up the balloons in the proper manner, right? Like there's some work that goes into it beforehand. But
181 records, crazy.
Yeah, ultimately, just probably not how I want to not the record I want to break, probably because of the time and effort it would take to, just be me sitting there all day, like bumping hips with my friend who was doing that. That doesn't sound like a fun day.
You and Josh bumping hips,
Yeah,
popping balloons.
I don't think that I don't think that we can make that happen. By the way, Charles writes in, you got to be really good friends to want to do that. Yes, exactly.
Yes,
exactly. Joey, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Connor.
That is the odd news. When we return, we'll keep an eye on Deion Sanders and his medical team's press conference. We'll get you the formula, and we'll keep an eye on some of the things that are coming out of Husker practice as well. Plenty to come on 1620 The Zone. Welcome back. Noon hour, the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. I got something interesting for you to remind you of first before we get into this thing here. So, people always say, man, I wish I could get that NIL deal, or I wish I can get some NIL for that. We've been using that over the last couple of years. Well, here's your chance. If you go to 1620thezone.com right now, enter to win our $5,000 kinda like NIL giveaway. It's kind of like NIL,
It is.
but it's just money. Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Pretty good.
Good money.
Indeed. So head to 1620thezone.com right now to get your hands on that. So we're going to hear from Deion Sanders in a second. I've already seen a picture of what he's wearing today. By the way, I don't know. I don't know what possessed me to do. I had a couple minutes this morning. So I watched, they document everything, right? Colorado does. They document absolutely everything. And it was a clip of Deion, Coach Prime at the doctor. And he was talking about like, man, he kind of whispered to himself. He was like, I gotta think about making a will or something like that. And I was like, whoa, what is going on here? So that was odd. But then I watched the kind of follow up and wrap up from his son, who does most of this, his other son, Deion Sanders Jr., who does most of the documenting of this in a video form, and just ends up going up basically raw on YouTube. And he was like, what he's going through. And then he referred to it as what he has been through, as if the battle has been won. So he, and we're just getting a little update on this now. Deion Sanders and his health officials said that he had surgery to treat bladder cancer. He had a tumor in his bladder, and the tumor has been successfully removed, per health officials. But excellent news to hear that Coach Prime is, I assume, you got the tumor out, and you've cleared yourself up to this point. But the doctors, so now I'm just getting this from Ross Dellinger. Colorado coach Deion Sanders and his medical team announced that he had been treated for a bladder tumor. Doctors did remove the bladder, and Deion is, quote, cured from cancer. Wow. So that's news that both we didn't know about and good.
Yeah, exactly.
At the same time. So maybe we go on business as usual after this for Deion Sanders, in Deion Sanders terms.
Locked in for
right?
next season.
Yeah, you wanted to see him. Yeah, I saw a lot of people doing that over the weekend. They were like, well, classic. Shador left, and now he's gonna step away. So it actually turned out to be a pretty good move to put the medical team up there with him. That way he can't just be like, hey, people don't know what I went through this summer, because people hear that, and then there's rumors about you leaving or whatever, and they say, oh, well, what'd you go through? What'd you really go through? So he had his medical team sit up there and, confirm basically, yeah, he had cancer, and we had to find a way to remove it, and we were successful in doing so. Sanders said, quote, "This wasn't easy. Men and everybody get checked out. Get yourself checked out." So great news out of Colorado today, but certainly scary news, that's for sure. I wanted to read you a couple of tweets from practice. Sam McEwen will join us at the top of the 1 o'clock hour, coming off of practice and their media availability today. But here's a smattering of some quotes. Matt Rule asked about running back depth. Says Emmett Johnson is the clear number one. But Mekhi Nelson is as explosive as anybody I've been around. The key, and then Sam writes, the key for everybody around beyond Johnson is pass pro, vastly underrated trait starting at the collegiate level. Not a lot of college backs get away with not being good at it. That is one of the things that has been a consistent through line in Nebraska's search. Unlimited, they are constantly searching for either one running back or, in this case, multiple running backs who they can put in the game, and those people will understand the protections and can do it at a high enough rate to where you feel like you could put them in and they could do a little bit of everything. They've been trying to look for that for a very, very long time, and they're trying to find two, it looks like this time. Sam writes, Rule on player ownership, quote, "I could say it until I'm blue in the face, but players don't listen to coaches. They listen to other players." And then Luke Lindenmeyer said, I saw Carter Nelson and Mac Markway finally out there. And I said, yeah, this is tight end you. What a bold take from Luke Lindenmeyer, who once again claims Nebraska is tight end you, which is, in my mind, maybe a little bold.
A little too extreme.
maybe
considering what's been happening through the past decade or so.
Yeah, maybe like ever. Little bold, but that's okay. Nebraska is the talking season. We said it ended last week, but no, it still
starts
going on.
One month away.
Well, I often say, Joey,
ready.
this is the longest month. The month that we began just today, even though it's not a new month, but like the 1 month lead up to the season, camp starts today. This is all fun right now. This is we're getting refamiliarized with everybody. There will be, position battle updates and all those things throughout the next several weeks, and things like that. But it'll, you'll get a baseline for where we go today. After about this week, that's when it gets hard. That's when the waiting really kicks in.
The waiting is the hardest part.
The waiting is the hardest part.
Great Tom Petty would always say.
Exactly. So, get ready for that because it's coming. All right. So I wanted to get to this to start off the noon hour. Touched on it just a little bit earlier. And I want to hear what you guys think about this. So always feel free to call or text the show at 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Of course, tweet at Happer Show, at Connor Happer, leave a YouTube comment, and send an email on the Equitable Bank inbox, Connor at 1620thezone.com. So the formula. Speaking of laying baselines for this month and laying baselines for the season, there will be a lot of discussion about how Nebraska gets over the hump this year and how they get to 8 wins or 9 wins or compete for a Big Ten championship or compete for a college football playoff spot. Everybody will be trying to sort of evaluate that over the next month. How do you do it? Yeah, it's pretty easy. You win football games. How do you win football games? That's what I'm worried about, and that's what I want to talk about for the next 10 or so minutes. Every team has a different formula to win football games. It might not be completely science. It might not be might not equal out to a 0 at the end of the day, but everybody goes into the year or goes into a game and they think this is the type of game that we have to play to fit us and that works for us. For Nebraska, they've spent the last 2 years, as I said earlier, playing mud ball. I'm calling it mud ball, where their big, beefy defense, really big guys, right? Stops the run, keeps everything in front of them. The offense was quite literally stuck in that mud, purposefully, in my mind. Mm-hmm. Sam wrote this today in his rewind column that I thought was, kind of an insane stat that I didn't think about. Nebraska's defense faced the second fewest plays per game in Power Conference football last year behind Missouri. Nebraska's defense faced the second fewest plays per game in Power Conference football last year, under 60 plays per game. Yeah, you want to maximize what you can get out of your defense, but you're trying to hide your offense a little bit. And in order to really hide the offense, you want to possess the ball longer. So routinely, over the last 2 years, especially under Marcus Satterfield as the offensive coordinator for a year and 3/4, basically, they would snap the ball pretty routinely with under 10 seconds on the play clock. They would go slow. What did Satterfield say when he got here? He said, we like huddling up. We like what happens in that huddle. And he didn't talk about the advantages that the slow tempo gives you. In this case, it's helping out the offense just by staying on the field and helping out the defense, of course, as well. But Nebraska had taken on the personality of a team that wanted that felt like it had to win games defensively. And because of that, they had to play a certain way. They had to accentuate the best qualities about themselves. And that was their defense. over the last 2 years. But there is a third element, as we know, special teams. In my mind, I would characterize special teams over the last 2 years, forgive the reference, but needed to be tucked away like the catcher in your slow pitch softball league. Who plays catcher in your slow pitch softball league? The guy that you don't want in the outfield, the guy that you don't want at shortstop, the guy that you want to have the least amount of impact on the football game, baseball game, in this case, softball game, possible. You put him at catcher. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you're a catcher out there in your slow pitch softball league and you didn't know about this. There's a reason why you're catching. There is. So that was Nebraska's special teams over the last couple of years. Hide. The least we could use you, the better. We don't want to, and when we are out there, please have the most minimal impact that you could possibly have on the game, because we know the more that we are exposed on special teams, the more that we are on the field, the better chance there is for something to go absolutely and completely haywire.
They've been on the wrong end for a very long time.
Right.
Just cover your eyes whenever you see them on the field.
So that formula is changing. That formula will change this year. And by the way, for a team that was set up the way it was, especially in Rule's first year, it's a fine formula. You wanted to minimize the impact of your offense, minimize the impact of your special teams, have your defense be the star of the show, win football games that way. You're going to get in some tight ones, and they're probably going to be late because so much time is being just chewed off the clock, theoretically, while you're on offense. That's the idea. Now, if you get into a situation like they did in early 2023, where they turned the ball over damn near every time they touched it, the formula doesn't quite work anymore. It doesn't quite look the same. So, like I said, the formula doesn't always work out. It's not a science. You still have to execute it, right? But you want to have an idea. So here's the idea, in my opinion, by the way this team looks this year. It's faster, it's sharper, it's more explosive. The offense moves at the very least a normal pace, with the potential to kick it up a notch from there. The defense is lighter, the defense is more agile, the defense is more explosive. I'm not saying that they're going to be better. It also depends on your interpretation of the word better. But the defense is lighter, they're more agile, and they're more explosive. And the special teams, they might not be the shortstop or the center fielder in your slow pitch softball league, but maybe they could be a nice corner outfielder who gets the ball in and hits their cutoff man. You know what I mean? Mm. Maybe it's not a complete and total disaster when they're the center of attention. Does that sound like something that could be accomplished for Nebraska this year? I'm talking about scoring some more points, or at the very least, and maybe there's a conversation about this. Last 2 years, Nebraska's defense has been the star of the show, like I said. Is their offense the star of the show now? Are they far enough along with Dana Holgorsen and with Dylan Raiola to where they could say, no, we're not just going to be out there, trying to methodically move the ball downfield and give our defense a blow. We're trying to get some stuff accomplished here. We're trying to score some damn points. Like we're trying to be the reason that we win football games, not the reason we try not to lose football games. And Nebraska, if that's the case, Nebraska's defense plays a really integral role in this, because you actually want the ball on offense. Mm. So in order to get the ball, you have to take the ball away, right? So it's, yes, the aforementioned, as we've talked about the last 2 years, stops on third down. It's got to get way better. But Nebraska's got to go get the ball more. They have to get turnovers. They have to create negative plays, explosive plays on the defensive side. And frankly, the reason I'm saying this is because I feel like that is what this team looks like on paper. Think about that defensive line. I know Rule was really complimentary of him last week, and he said, hey, I think we're going to be pretty good. I think we're going to be hell on wheels or whatever it was, and that was certainly perk my ears up. I'm listening. I'm watching now. But it's lighter, right? And nobody knows exactly what the main pieces are going to be there. And it's not going to be Nash Hutmaker and Ty Robinson just holding things up in the middle. I know those players had their shortcomings in the athletic pieces of the game and creating penetration and things like that. They were good players and they successfully did their jobs over the last couple of years. They don't have those guys anymore. Are they trying to find the next Nash Hutmaker and Ty Robinson? It doesn't feel like it to me. Maybe there's a guy or two who fits that mold. Maybe Riley Van Poppel fits that mold. But I feel like you're going for disruption on the defensive line and disruption with the linebackers. And for the defensive backs, ball hawking, right? It's not going to be a let's keep everything. I don't think it should be. This would be my proposed formula. It's not going to be a let's keep everything in front of us defense, and then when the other team gets down to the 4-yard line on our goal line, we bow up enough to make a stand. No, I think they have to go get the ball because they want to get the ball back to their offense. So creating plays like that to get the ball back to your offense so that they can score. And like I said, maybe the special teams, I know people have high hopes for it. I know there will be a lot of conversation about the rugby punter and what happens at the field goal kicking spots and returners and all those things. There's not a ceiling on what they could potentially do this year, but I'm going to keep the expectations mild, at least so far on that group. Can you just not lose games, right? That could fit into Nebraska's formula. But theoretically, if the defense is getting more explosive and they're making splash plays, you want the special teams to be able to complement that as well. Obviously, you always want your special teams to be good. There's no there's no rules on that one.
Just find ways to win on special teams. Just get some extra yardage if you can, protect the football, and make some good kicks. You want to also protect the kicker, make sure you got some leverage. So
no doubt about it,
because that's been an issue for the last few seasons for the special teams unit.
So if my question to you all, and that's just it's a very broad, general, kind of guess. If that happens, if they are a team like that, does that sound like something that could be accomplished for Nebraska this year? What are the barriers to that? And if they do execute that formula, if they are that team, what does that mean? How good can they be? That's where you get into the conversation about 8 wins, 9 wins, 10 wins, and competing for spots in the college football playoff. So Sam wrote this. He wrote he and once again we'll talk about this with him. At 1:00. But he wrote that quote that I mentioned from Rule. When I go out places, people ask me about the defensive line a lot. Our defensive line's going to be ... They're going to be hell on wheels. Watch, just watch. Sam wrote, there's no more substantive comment Rule made in Las Vegas because if Nebraska matches or surpasses its defensive line play from a year ago, this is a college football playoff contender. This is the fun new thing about creating a new formula for yourself. The sky is literally the limit. Or the ceiling is the roof, I suppose, as some people have said over time. Right? The sky is the limit because we don't know exactly what this group's limitations are quite yet because they've changed the formula, or they are assumingly changing the formula a little bit. I do feel like it's doing a disservice to this offense, to Dylan Raiola, to his wide receivers, and to Emmett Johnson, who's earned it, to not go a little faster. It would be a disservice to this group with how much talent they have comparative to the last couple of years. But really specifically, I'm talking about the quarterback. It would be a disservice to him to sit there and plod away and snap the ball every, what feels like once every 5 minutes. You can get up and go to the bathroom in between offensive plays for Nebraska, depending on how close your bathroom is, I suppose. I don't. I think it would be a disservice for them to do that again, and they won't. I don't think they're going to be going warp speed. Dana Holgerson has talked about that before, but I think they'll understand the whole picture. So I do think it's something that can be accomplished, and I think the offense can be the star of the show. What are the barriers to Nebraska getting to this point? Well, if their special teams is a giant crater again, I mean, that's a barrier, right? That could really hurt you in a hurry. If the defensive line, if that's just a complete fabrication about the defensive line, which I don't think it is for the record, then that's a problem. If Nebraska has an injury at a key position like quarterback or running back, I think that really, derails you a little bit. But if everything is able to come together and they're able to, be a version of what I just said and be that kind of team, unless I'm just completely misfiring on what they're going for here. If they're able to execute that, can they be an 8 or 9 or 10 win kind of team? Yeah, I think, like I said, that's the fun part about rewriting the math equation for this year. You don't exactly know what the ceiling is. Might some opponents be a little bit, surprised to see Nebraska going at the pace and tempo that they will be going at this year comparative to the last couple of years? Yeah. Might they be surprised when the windows are a little bit less tight defensively and there's some guys up in your grill and they're playing a little bit more aggressive? Maybe. And is Nebraska's schedule manageable this year? Yeah, indeed. So there's no real ceiling. I mean, it'd be hard to see them winning more than 10 games, I think, but I don't think there is a ceiling. On the other side, could it blow up in a disastrous fashion?
I would say it's possible. Because it's happened before.
Whenever you change the thing, whenever you raise the ceiling the way that Nebraska thinks it has, you have this kind of unknown about what they're going to be and how they're going to try to win games. Whenever you have that, you also lower the floor, I think, a little bit. I think Rule would argue that they have built a strong foundation over the last couple years, and they have established a floor, right? And now this becomes sort of a jumping off point. But and then, like I said, the schedule is manageable enough as well. But is that potentially in the cards as well? Sure. But that's the way I look at it going into camp. I can't wait to get more, just nuggets on that idea as we go on throughout this thing, as the quotes are coming out today. So let me know what you think about that. I want to get to your thoughts on it on the other side, because there are some that I would like to get to. There's some takes that I'd like to get to on here. Don't forget, we'll talk a lot about this with Sam McEwen coming up at 1 o'clock, but we'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone. week's Zone Deal coming up on Friday at 9 is to Copal, Mexican cuisine, 129th in Maple. They have Sunday Fun Day, all day happy hours on Sundays, Monday, $5 all day house margaritas, Tuesday, 3 tacos, rice, beans, chips, salsa for only $11. So the deal, 2 $25 vouchers, which is, of course, a $50 value because you guys can do math for just $25. You can find out the details at 1620thezone.com. The deal goes on sale Friday at 9. And listen to Gary and Matt this week, or Gary and whoever's with Gary.
Gary and Jake.
Gary and Jake.
For today.
And then I think Caleb will be in tomorrow, and then we'll see what else happens throughout the week. And they will have those gift certificates that cost $0 if you just listen to our shows. Got some thoughts from you guys, but as always, phone eats first. To the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline, here is Andrew. Andrew, thanks for the call. What's up?
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
So I guess my biggest concern for Nebraska this year is, what if something happened to Raiola? Who would be the number 2? And is this offense could you plug another quarterback in? Or does it need a big play quarterback?
I mean, obviously it would change quite a bit. And I would trust Dana Holgorsen to be able to, work around the quarterbacks, whoever's in the game, their strengths, whatever they are. But no, I wouldn't call it a situation where like the quarterback is going to be running around a whole lot or anything like that and needs to have a certain level of, athleticism or whatever it might be to actually execute it. No, and nor do I think the other 3 quarterbacks on the roster are pigeonholed to one thing or the other either. So it would just be less good, if that makes any sense. You just wouldn't have to change the entire premise of the offense, in my opinion.
So it could be just take what's there and
right.
Okay. All right, that's all I wondered is what it would look like with another quarterback if something would happen.
Yeah.
Which could.
It's a good question. It's a good question. Thanks for the call, Andrew. Appreciate it. So who would be the second one into the game at this point? Would it be Jalen Gramstad or would it be Marcos Davila, the transfer from Purdue? Don't think it would be TJ Lateef. Some of this depends on what kind of injury we're looking at. Is it going to be a long-term deal? Is it going to be a short-term deal? Is it going to be 3 snaps? If it's going to be 3 snaps and that, Ryle has just got to get his helmet redone or something like that, or he's got to get a new jersey because it ripped off, then that would be Jalen Gramstad. That would be my guess. And could anyone do that? Yes.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, yes. But
Probably.
I think what Andrew is wondering about is, does it change if your quarterback goes down? Davila and Raiola are built similarly. I mean, Davila is bigger, taller, right? Kind of more physically imposing than Dylan is. Gramstad is obviously the opposite of that. He's smaller and less physically imposing, but has a really good understanding of what they're trying to accomplish. But it's not one of those situations. I'm trying to think of a good example of this in the past. Like, Nebraska, they've had some moments, and you see these all the time in the NFL or in college, where the starting quarterback goes out, and then the second quarterback is just completely unfit to run the offense so you have to completely change what you do. That's what happens when you're in a quarterback-centric offense, where Nebraska has been in for the last, guess going back before Rule and Satterfield. Frost ran a quarterback-centric offense. The quarterback had to make plays he had to be a capable run threat, and more so than anyone wanted him to be. But he had to be a capable run threat, and obviously he had to make the throws as well. They weren't able to accomplish that with the starter at times. So that's a different conversation. But when you brought in the second guy, and it was Andrew Bunch or Luke McCaffrey, like whoever it was, they were limited in a lot of different ways because of how much you were asking the starter to do. I don't think Nebraska's in that situation. As good as Dillon, like there's a difference between good versus how much you're capable of. I think all Nebraska's quarterbacks in their roster are well-rounded enough for them to go in the game and feel like they can execute the scope of what Dillon was doing. They probably wouldn't be able to make the splash plays or the wild, the big time throws. But that's not anything that you would expect your backups to do anyway. So yeah, you would dumb it down for those guys and make sure they're comfortable, get them in a little bit of a rhythm, and see what else you could accomplish as well. So I guess to answer Andrew's question, I don't think it's while complimenting Dillon by saying he's the best quarterback on the roster by far, I also don't think it would be this gigantic drop off of like, oh, well, our backup quarterback is in. They're completely screwed because they can't even do anything on offense, right? Now, if you do this text from Eric and Lincoln, put Harburg in there if Dillon goes down. That at least better be an option. See, when you get into that situation, then you're talking about doing completely different things. Because Harburg and Raiola just are, Harburg and every other quarterback on the roster just have completely different skill sets. Harburg's just a runner. So, or I guess a pass catcher now, according to the video that I've seen from practice and the depth chart that says he's a tight end, or the roster that says he's a tight end. If you're going that route, that in my mind would be a little bit alarming about the other guys on the roster at that point. I think that ship has sailed. If they do some gadget stuff with him in the backfield with a couple gloves on playing quarterback and they ram him up the middle or something like that, great. That's not quarterback. That's who was the guy from Oklahoma all those years ago? The Belldozer, Blake Bell. Remember him?
Yep, I remember.
They could do that. I would love that.
Yeah, that would work. Just have him run a fake quarterback draw and just do a little toss-up pass in the goal line, see if they could try one of those.
Sure, fire away. Do all you want on that, but that doesn't mean he's the quarterback.
Oh, no.
Jeff writes in, at least we won't be an Andrew Bunch situation. I think that is true. I think Nebraska is not going to be in an Andrew Bunch situation this upcoming year. Let's see. We got some texts from before that I wanted to get to based on the offense. Venmo Chris writes in. He says a consistent offense that doesn't bleep its pants every series and a special teams that's just average gives you 2 more wins at a baseline, in my opinion. If the defense stays the same, well, commence with the Roulade chugging. I think that's where people are dreaming this year. We assume the offense is going to be better. It's a fair assumption, by the way. They sucked the last 2 years, but especially 2 years ago. We assume the offense is going to be better.
We assume things are going to get better after coming off of a bowl victory for the first time in 9 years.
That helps.
There's assumption.
There's some confidence there.
Get the extra practices in and the extra game, winning that game itself.
And we assume, I think people assume anyway, if I'm reading the tea leaves right, on the public, I think they assume that the defense might take a little bit of a step back. But if it stays just as effective as it has been, not necessarily the good in the same way, but as efficient and effective as it has been over the last 2 years, then yeah, then you are cooking a little bit at that point. That would not be a bad situation at all. Mike writes in on the Harburg idea. By the way, anytime we mention, I'll say this again because I like to make note of it every time it happens. Anytime we mention Heinrich Harburg on this show, people have comments about it. Even at practice today, people immediately, I saw some videos of Heinrich Harburg. We're obsessed with Heinrich Harburg. We're addicted to the Heine.
Wild Heine.
Wild Heine. People are obsessed with this idea. We talked about it a little bit last week, but Mike wrote in, he said, why would anyone want Harburg as a quarterback for a complete game? It would be completely opponent dependent, and I don't think you would. I agree with you, Mike. I don't think you would. Mike also says assume the offense and special teams is better, but the defense ? Yeah, it's and BC mentioned this in her interview on Friday. It's a weirdly under talked about storyline this offseason, and partly because we don't know, and maybe we're on the path to finding out, and you don't know until you play football games, of course. But Nebraska's defense has really held its entire team up for the last 2 years, and now everybody assumes it's going to get worse, but the team is going to get better. I mean, there's some assumptions in there, but I laid out the formula, and maybe that is the idea for Nebraska coming up this year. Once again, Sam McEwen is going to join us at the top of the hour. We'll talk plenty about exactly that with Sam. By the way, we still have the tiny TV on the BTN over there. They are talking about Big Ten volleyball media days, which I believe is going on in Chicago right now. I think it's just at the Big Ten studios or something, like, because the volleyball head coach from Northwestern is just on there right now. But I was going to mention, speaking of BTN, the caravan. I don't know if they get them on an RV anymore. Jerry DiNardo and all those guys. I don't know how they're splitting them up this year because they have a West Coast part of this tour, leg of this tour now as well. People forget that Oregon, Washington, and USC and UCLA are in the Big Ten. The Big Ten bus will make its way to campus on Friday. So there's where you'll be getting some
Fun.
You'll be getting some takes from the BTN guys that I'm sure we'll be discussing on Monday. All right, quick timeout. We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone. Welcome back, Connor Happer and Joey Colbert with you here on this Monday, first day of fall camp for Nebraska. Yeah, we talked about Nebraska football a lot. Get used to it. It's coming. Also, good news, as we mentioned at the top of the hour with Deion Sanders. He had a press conference today with his medical team, revealed that he had a tumor in his bladder, and they removed both the bladder and the tumor, and he is cancer free, which is excellent news. So it's kind of a whirlwind. Whoa, he had cancer, and now he's cancer free all in one. He wore some big blue overalls to his press conference today, which was he really does have a great outlook on life. He always preaches the positivity and stuff like that, and he really does have a great outlook on life. So when I saw that behind the scenes video of him sitting on the doctor's table and he was, talking about making a will or something like that, I'm thinking, man, that's just, I very rarely ever see his spirits broken. So it was a really, tough journey for him, but glad he got good news on that front. And he will, yes, sickos, continue to be the head coach at Colorado. Couple things here from over the weekend. So let's talk about Dave Aranda real quick. Dave Aranda is the head coach at Baylor. I'm not going to play the audio because I don't know. I don't know. There's a specific word that he uses like a lot, and I just maybe didn't need to perpetuate it over and over and over and over again. But like I mentioned, Joey, earlier, as you're familiar with, your coach at the Boston Celtics, Joe Mazzulla, he really loves the town. He says he watches the town all the time. I don't know how often Dave Aranda watches The Wolf of Wall Street, but he did use an anecdote to talk about one of the things he tries to coach in players. And it was a really, really, really long lead up. He described the scene in which they bring in, the little people, and they put Velcro on them and throw them at the giant Velcro dartboard. Are you familiar with this scene? Have you seen the movie?
No, I have not seen the movie.
Okay, there you go. You wouldn't be familiar with this scene. So just imagine that. It's a very interesting environment at the workplace, but we know how the movie goes. And he describes this scene, and he continues to describe it, and he talks about the little people, and he says that over and over and over and over again. And at the end, the kind of payoff to the thing that he's describing is talking about how they need to make the little people feel like they are one of us. And then they start chanting. Here's the quote at the end of it. This is the reason he told this entire anecdote. It was an absolutely wild 2 minutes. He was like, this was out of nowhere. What we need to do is make them think like they're one of us. And then they start chanting, one of us, one of us. That's the thing we're coaching and recruiting. So he used this entire, big anecdote from the Wolf of Wall Street, sort of problematic, and just kept describing the scene in great, 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 great detail, only to say, yeah, that's kind of like what we're trying to do. People, when the tweet was going around, I think it was Friday afternoon, it was like, you won't believe what Dave Aranda was trying to say here. And I didn't. I took that wild ride for him, or with him the entire time. And it was super odd. So this, in today's super odd coaches press conferences, Dave Aranda gives that one to us. And then I also wanted to go to, by the way, Jeff writes in, dude is feeling the hot seat. Yeah, little bit. Also, Mike says, Baylor really finds weirdos for football coaches. Yeah, sometimes they're weird in that way. Sometimes they're weird in other ways. But yeah, it seems like that is the case. I will remind you, Dave Aranda was once a big part of the Wheel of Coaches.
Yep.
He was a big part of the Wheel of Coaches. People thought that they were maybe going to hire Dave Aranda for a period of time. I don't know that they were ever really close to that or if he was ever really in the discussion, but he was the guy that some people around here were kind of pushing for a little bit, which is certainly interesting. All right. Let's go to the Hall of Fame induction weekend from over the weekend. Ichiro, one of my favorite players of all time. Ichiro was enshrined in the Hall of Fame this weekend in Cooperstown. And when this voting came out in January, he received all but one vote. He appeared on everyone's Hall of Fame ballot but one. Falling one short of being, like, I think the first ever unanimous first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't think it's ever happened. I mean, Jeter was like way short, and like 5 or 6 short or something like that. And same thing with Rivera. Ichiro was one short. And here's what he had to say about that one writer who did not put him on his ballot.
Baseball taught me what it means to be a professional, and I believe that is the main reason I am here today. Not because my skills are better than others. 3,000 hits or 262 hits in one season are achievements recognized by the writers. Well, all but one of you. And by the way, the offer for that writer to have dinner at my home has now expired.
One of the best characters in baseball history, Ichiro, who, I mean, was awesome from the second he joined Major League Baseball at a very old age for a rookie. I think he was in his upper 20s.
Oh, wow.
At the time, and still amassed 3,000 hits in his career. Also mentioned yesterday at his Hall of Fame induction speech that he did not know who the Marlins were when he signed with the Marlins, before he signed with the Marlins, which doesn't actually make any sense because he knew who the Marlins were and he played the Marlins a couple times in interleague games, I'm sure, in Seattle, and I think he was in New York maybe before that, or maybe he went to Miami after or before he went to New York. By the way, thank you, Stibbs, for checking this out. He would have been the first position player to be a unanimous first ballot guy. Mariano Rivera was a unanimous first ballot guy. Also, Platcat writes in, heard Ichiro likes Kansas City for lunch. That came out a lot over the weekend because it was very, very hot in Kansas City, and Ichiro Suzuki famously one time compared summer in Kansas City to there's no good way to say this, so I won't. It was pretty disgusting, though, and it was the first time I'd really ever heard him speak English, and it was incredible. So here's the main takeaway. He loves, he knows the language. So he goes up there afterwards and does the post interview with the guys from MLB Network or something like that. And he has an interpreter with him. But he speaks English. As you could tell, he gave an entire Hall of Fame speech in English. And he knows English and certainly can understand English, but he has the interpreter with him there anyway. And you could tell the guys asked him the questions, and he's, he understands what they're saying in English, but he keeps the interpreter there with him just in case. And he's using the interpreter. And then at the end of the interview, he says something in Spanish. Like, gracias or whatever it might have been. I can't remember what the actual word that he used was. Absolutely fantastic. Ichiro, one of the best dudes of all time, still around the game. Probably could still hit like 250 in a major league season if he wanted to. Also, my takeaway from that this weekend was I think I need to go to Hall of Fame induction weekend once in my life. That feels like a bucket list item. Get up to Cooperstown. The town obviously embraces the crap out of it, loves it.
Yeah.
And, just celebrate baseball for a weekend and a couple of baseball all-time greats. I guess CC Sabathia and Billy Wagner's speeches were awesome as well. But Jeff writes in, he's right about this, by the way. Jeff writes in, he says, him saying expired needs
Just
to be
love the
a
delivery.
drop, needs to be expired. Has expired.
I'll work on
Shout out to
something.
Ichiro, one of the best dudes. That's seriously one of my favorite baseball players of all time. It was around for like the majority of my childhood and adolescence. I mean, he came to America when I was 9, so it was about perfect, and I saw his entire career. Absolutely fantastic. Mike says Ichiro would be the 4th best hitter on the Royals today. He would be. He might be the 2nd, depending on the day. He would not be the 1st. I will say that. All right, Sam McEwen is going to join us on the other side. I do have something for you if you've sat through the first 3 hours of the show so far. We have a reward. We are giving away 4 packs of general admission tickets to the Nebraska State Fair, which is coming up August 22nd to September 1st at the Nebraska State Fairgrounds in Grand Island. And here's your chance to win the first 4-pack of the week. Just simple. Give us a call right now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline, 402-951-1620. Be caller number 3. Tell Joey you love corn dogs and say, I'm going to the fair. 4 packs of general admission tickets, 1 4-pack of general admission tickets to the Nebraska State Fair. Caller number 3 at 951-1620 right now gets them. We'll be back with Sam after this on 1620 The Zone.
Sam McEwen is the newsman. Sam McEwen, Omaha World Herald. On the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
That's right. Monday, 1 o'clock. Now we're going to start having a rhythm to this. You know, there will be Monday press conferences, and then we'll get Sam at 1 to talk about his reaction to those. Today we have a portion of open practice and some stuff from Matt Rule. Sam, welcome back to football season. What's going on?
Welcome back. It's not much is going on. Quiet now since Rule stopped talking and the players rolled through. It was a good time had by all, and there's a very nice grass practice field out there to look at.
People are really talking about the grass. They are. Everybody wants to talk about Rule really wants to talk about the grass. You could tell.
He does. I do not want to discount the fact that their synthetic fields were also replaced, and their synthetic fields are much better than the ones that they had. And honestly, yeah, I think the grass fields were imperfect, but their new synthetic fields are what they're going to practice and play on quite a bit, and I'm glad they changed it out because the quality of what I'm walking on right now is pretty high. It's really good, actually.
Where were you drawn to when you walked in when the doors opened up to practice this morning?
O-line, first place I went, and then I went and looked at Archie Wilson, the new punter, because he's a big deal. Like, he's important. The punt unit around here has been rough for a while, a long while. Even Buccini, who had his moments, boy, he had some clunkers too. And of course, last year they had some blocks. So, you know, I'm a big believer that how you punt really does have something to do with one or two games a year. And I thought Wilson, you know, he looked athletic, which they needed at that position. Buccini wasn't terribly athletic, and they were not terribly athletic before that. So I'm glad that they switched that out, and it, you know, this guy's going to be a work in progress. He's still learning the game, but he did look athletic.
Did it surprise you to not have I'm going off of other people's observations here, but did it surprise you to not have a definitive left tackle when you walked in today, or is that an overreaction to what we saw?
I think it's a good news. You know, if you've got a Gunnar Gatula is ready to rock and roll and he can challenge Elijah Pritchett, that's great. I don't see it as a negative. I don't think that that's anything bad because they would not be putting Gatula out there in that kind of top group or even considering it if he was not 100%. So that means he's good and ready to go. I asked Rule about that, and Rule was really sung his praises, which, you know, just kind of tells you what Gatula wanted to do when he had an opportunity to get healthy, and he's approached it and handled it well. And so I think that's going to be important going forward for that group. And you really need more than one. Usually you're gonna get a couple of guys banged up. So I actually think it's good news. I know that people are like, oh my goodness, what does this mean? Remember, Elijah Pritchett was a right tackle at Alabama, and he's probably a better run blocker than he is pass blocker. So if Gunnar Gatula can play that left tackle spot, you can move Pritchett over to right tackle, and you're going to have a hell of a run blocker. So I think Pritchett's going to start either way, and I think they like where they're at right now.
Would you characterize it as they have? I mean, maybe that just answered the question there, but do you see it as 4 guys for 2 spots at those tackle spots at this point, or is it more of, well, if Gatula wins the left tackle, then Pritchett just slides over to right?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's 4. Yeah, I mean, Teddy Prohaska can also play left tackle, and that's entirely possible, as you well know. And so they've got options. Prohaska was at right today, as was Tyler Knack, who was kind of the number 1 guy. So, you know, it's probably 4 for 2. And again, you know, Pritchett can play either side. I think Gatula can play either side. So they're probably just going to mix and match for a while, test it out. It's not going to surprise me if Elijah Pritchett is the starter on day 1 at Cincinnati. That would be my expectation, but it just tells you where they're at and the confidence they have in their linemen.
Anybody that you weren't expecting to kind of jump off the page from a physical standpoint?
Well, their defensive line looks good, Connor. I mean, it's a good-looking group. I'll give it that. Obviously, the experience is a question. Couple questions were asked of that D-line today about that D-line and what can potentially get done there. And again, it's a very athletic group, and so the quality of the bodies and where the frames are and all those things, you do like the way it looks, and it looks closer to some of Nebraska's better defensive lines. I did appreciate today that Rule conceded that it's going to be hard to replace Ty Robinson. I know when he made the comment last week, I think he was just fired up, and it had been a long day, and he wanted to, wanted to say something really positive about those defensive linemen. And of course, I wrote about it. But he conceded that Ty Robinson's going to be hard to replace, which he is. And this group is a work in progress. It's going to take them a month to get in shape and be where they need to be. And again, the key is going to be when somebody goes out there and tries to run the football on them again and again and again.
Yep.
Can they hold up? Do I think they can get after the quarterback? I think they'll be able to do that. But in order to do that, you can't be in 3rd and 3 and 3rd and 2 all the time. So we'll see what happens.
You're inclined to believe him when he made the hell on wheels defensive line comment, or I suppose there's layers to how good you are, quote unquote, right?
Yeah, I'm with you on the layers. Trust but verify. I think we're going to see that group get better and better. Now, another question I asked him today is, hey, this is still a really young roster. How much better can these guys get in the course of the next 30 days? And I think they can get better. We do not want to forget that there's a lot of true freshmen, a lot of redshirt freshmen, a lot of sophomores, and it's go time. Like, yes, off season was important, and they got better during spring ball. But once you come off that summer full of conditioning and weightlifting and eating like a champion, this is kind of the time. So, like, they're not ever going to be this is peak physical condition. It didn't used to be this way. It used to be that you got in that about 3 weeks into camp,
right?
Because you were eating, whatever you wanted all summer. But the way this works now, Connor, is they walk into camp,
better be ready,
in elite shape, which means that if you can figure out some of the other things, the better athlete should have a chance during camp to emerge. And so there's going to be an opportunity now for some of these young guys. And I'm not talking true freshmen. That's too much. But redshirt freshmen, sophomores, 2nd and 3rd year guys, this is their chance to make a dent and to say, hey, you know what? You don't have to play that senior every single time. You can play me. And that's what we're going to see, I think, over the next month, is whether they can improve that depth, especially on defense.
Sam, what you wrote today for your rewind in the Omaha World Herald really got me thinking about their formula, right? Their formula to win football games this year. How much different? It's almost hard to quantify it, I think. How much different is the 2025 team's formula that they want to win football games with compared to the last 2 years?
It's different. I think certainly on the offensive side of the ball, Connor, part of what you've got to be able to start to get comfortable with when you've got a guy like Dylan is you've got to get comfortable with the reality that he might go 7 for 7 on a drive, and it might take you $142 to score.
Yeah.
And if it does,
that's great.
Your defense has to run back out on the field and make a stop.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's one of the things that they've actually, they've pulled that gear back. The offense might be doing very, very good in the course of the game, but they've pulled the pace of that offense back. Well, Dana can crank it as fast as you want to go, and he hasn't done that in recent years. He has. He's pulled the governor back because I think he learned that if you put your defense on blast over and over, they're just going to get worn out. But they've got to find a way, especially early in games, if they feel like they can go and get 14 up and do it with speed, then they need to be able to do it and not worry about, well, we just scored, now we're going to give one up because our defense just, they're not very deep. So I think the thing that they want to be able to do is score, stop, score, and then settle into the football game, and be able to do those things. Or score, stop, field goal. Maybe you give up a field goal and it's 10-3 going into the second quarter. I think those are some of the things they want to work on is getting a quicker start, not necessarily feeling things out, and then that defense has got to be able to go and make a play. You know, if it's 7-7 and your defense is running onto the field, create a turnover, offense scores, defense goes back out, gets a stop, offense gets a field goal. The only time this year they've been able to do that was against Wisconsin last year, and you saw what happened. They scored 44 points because they got that offense on track, and they got into the gills of Wisconsin's defense. They got to do that again.
In order for it to work, do you have to have more than just, you know, they've played a lot of guys on defense over the last 2 years. It feels like that's probably a little bit more of the same going into 2025.
For sure. Got to get playmaking. I think that's part of the key. And I thought the defense in 23 was a little bit better at, you know, playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage against the run. I thought the defense last year was a little bit better at taking it away. They weren't great at taking it away either year, to be candid, but I thought they did a pretty nice job, you know, in terms of run defense in year one. Pass rush was a little better last year, as people know, but they can continue to get better there. And here's the other thing too: you don't want your best pass rusher to be your interior 310-pound lineman. You know, Ndamukong Suh notwithstanding. Ty Robinson was their best interior, you know, their best pass rusher last year. Hell, he might have been their best one in 23, or Nash was. You got to get edge pressure. And, you know, Sackman was able to do a little bit of that, but he was so inconsistent as a player that they couldn't really put him out on the field all the time. And so they got to be able to put a guy like Keona Davis or Deshaun McCullough on the field for 75% of the snaps. And then that guy's got to get home. You know, MJ Sherman, you could put him out there for a whole game, but he just didn't get home very much. So, like, that's part of the other component they're looking at.
Second running back, is it just totally wide open at this point? I think I've heard just about every name in that room over the last couple weeks here.
If Mekhi Nelson can come around on his pass block, and I think he's probably your number 2. But then you always have to consider that other role. You know, so there's a role inside the 10.
Right.
I guess what they call the low red zone. And they did not let Emmett Johnson operate in that role last year. They gave it to Dante Dowdell, and then in the bowl game, they had Quentin Ives do it, or Ramir Johnson. We'll pick through that. I should have asked him that today, Emmett, but, you know, he's up front, and we'll ask Barcel about it. Why they shied away from not having Emmett do that, and what that means. But Mekhi Nelson is what did Rule say today? As explosive as anyone I've been around.
Yeah.
Well, if you've watched practice, you know that that's true. Like, again, his stop and start, the idea, okay, so like his ability to slow and then, you know, speed back up, in other words, hesitate and run, is really impressive. He's able to gather a lot of speed when he's up in the air and comes right back down. And so that's very hard for defenders to handle, and Mekhi's got it. Now he's got to learn how to pass block, and he's got to be good in that area. Rule did not specifically say Mekhi Nelson's got to pass block, but as soon as he talked about Mekhi, then he started talking about the value of pass blocking. Now, Emmett Johnson can do it. Quentin Ives is a big guy. I suppose he can do it. And then Isaiah Mozee's got to learn how to do it. He hasn't really done it. So those are probably your 4. And then he mentioned Kenneth Williams too, which, again, pass blocking matters. It's the reason why Ramir Johnson played as much as he did the last couple of years. Because Ramir probably wasn't as good of a runner as Emmett. He wasn't as good of a runner as Dante Dowdell, but he knew the offense and he could block. And you've got to be able to protect that quarterback when defenses say, we're going to play man and we're going to bring 6.
Sam, we'll let you go on this. Just back to the defensive line real quick. I know some players had some positive things to say about Williams Nwaneri today. Is that, what are we watching there over the next couple of weeks for him? Because he's such an interesting piece to what they will or won't do this year.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to have to talk to Butler. Maybe we'll get deeper in it with Rule. I think some of it is they got to figure out what his position is, you know, and they got to figure out who he is and what they want to do with him. He's 6'7" and he's 200 and whatever pounds, 280 pounds. To me, this is just my opinion. I'm not a former player or coach. That sounds like a 5 technique to me. That sounds like oh goodness, the guy for the Giants used to, Kayvon Thibodeau. That's what that sounds like to me.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't sound like, edge rusher Randy Gregory.
Right.
So, okay, you got to sell the guy a little bit on, listen, whatever you did in high school, at this level, you have the ability to be a very high level draft pick, but you're going to have to,
get physical,
dance with the Bears a little bit out there at the left tackle. You're
Yeah.
going to have to go and hit the bear in the mouth, and just, so I think that has something to do with it. I don't know. Ty Robinson's a pretty unique athlete, and I know they played him inside, and there's some things that Ty can do, but honestly, I think Ty might be certainly Ty as a senior was a better athlete than Nwaneri is now. So, I think maybe with a year in the system, he can kind of grow, but what you got to sell a guy like that on is, hey, by the end of your fourth year, you're going to be drafted either on the first or the second day of the NFL draft. And you're not going to necessarily be drafted on your ability to go get 10 sacks. You're 6'7" and 280 pounds. And there aren't many guys that can do that in the NFL. You're going to get drafted on your ability to completely destroy the offensive tackle across from you or the offensive guard or whatever. So they got to get him used to maybe understanding the value of that. And there's a lot of fans that don't really understand the value of linemen who just destroy the guy across from them. And they don't necessarily pick up like a TFL, but they totally destroy or blow up a play. And there's teams that are really good at it. And then there's teams that are a little bit more active. And Nebraska's going to be a little bit more active with their defensive line, but they need to get him to the point where he just understands his natural God-given ability and is able to just blow people up. Yeah. And I think they'll get him there. Whether that's going to happen in game 1 or game 7, I don't know. Again, I think there's some confidence for what he can be. But if you're thinking about the guy that's like, oh boy, that guy's got something. Keona Davis is the guy that's closer to that. And you heard Cam Lenhart talk about it today. Keona's got the ability to come off the edge and snatch the soul out of the quarterback right now. I think Nwaneri is going to take a little bit more time to get him where he needs to be.
Yeah. Sam, great stuff as always. Enjoy your week. We'll talk next week.
Take care.
Sam McEwen from the Omaha World Herald. Ooh, quick on the hang up there. Nice.
Quick trigger.
That's fascinating. Well, I'll have to, forgive me because I haven't dove through all of it today. Kind of just hits me and I see a tweet or I see a video and then I see what I see and then I move on. So I'll sift through all of it tonight and see what the common themes are from. But it has interesting stuff on Nwaneri. I wonder, and you know what? They probably won't, just based off of what they have and what they feel like they have. I don't think you're asking a lot of them this year. I don't think you're asking a ton. You're not asking them to go out there and get you 8-10 sacks or anything like that, or whatever the role is for him. Just because you feel like you're generally well protected around him. But the reason I asked it to Sam that way was, if you do get that guy to reach his ceiling, if you do get that guy to reach his potential, then all of a sudden, that changes things a little bit. But just what is it? I've heard him characterized in a whole bunch of different ways as far as the kind of player that he is, was, can be, will be. And then how do you get him to realize that potential? It's a fascinating one for me, that's for sure. All right. When we return, we still have a few more things left to cover, including we'll have college football in Germany next season. Joey, put this on your schedule release show. College football in Germany. And
interesting.
What the Big Ten coaches think about this newfangled college football playoff format that their commissioner is pushing. Coming up on 1620 The Zone. Well, college football in the past has showed off its product in a variety of different locations worldwide. The Ireland game has become a yearly tradition now. Used to have the game in Tokyo. Nebraska played in once upon a time.
The Coca-Cola Bowl.
The Coca-Cola Classic.
Classic.
There has been, gosh, I don't know what other countries actually
Definitely not Uzbekistan.
Even though Scott Frost said he would like to play or would play a game there, that never ended up coming to fruition. Well, add another country reportedly to the list. I don't think this has been confirmed yet by either of the schools, but reportedly an agreement is being finalized for Week 0 2026 between Michigan and Western Michigan in no, not Detroit, no, not Ann Arbor, no, not wherever Western Michigan plays. Kalamazoo. No, that's Central Michigan.
No, Central Michigan is Chestnut Hill. Or no.
Whoa.
Not Chestnut Hill.
Hold on. Where does Western Michigan? What city in Michigan does Western Michigan
It's Kalamazoo.
play? Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
I always thought that was Central Michigan.
Central Michigan, I know where it's at. I just got to look at a map.
Western Michigan is in Kalamazoo.
Central Michigan is in...
Somebody's yelling at their... Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, Mount Pleasant. Then Eastern Michigan is Ypsilanti.
Ypsilanti, which is like 2 seconds away from Ann Arbor.
It's a beautiful, interesting small town in Michigan. Just
I saw a game at Eastern Michigan once.
I stand outside the stadium. Got a picture with the
That's right,
the
George
basketball.
Gervin.
Yeah, George Gervin.
They played Army. So my friend played there back in the day, and so we went to watch them. And they played Army, and they hadn't won a game the entire year, and they beat Army on this day, and it was awesome. The town was just like, yes, it's time.
Storm the field.
They partied.
Storm the grave.
They partied hard that night. That's for sure. And it's like you just go up the road. It's probably no further than, I don't know, from here to downtown. Maybe
it's like
to the big house.
Basically about the same distance between North Carolina and Duke. It's that close.
Yeah,
it's literally close.
It's right there. So anyway, yeah, there's your Michigan locations. But no, the game is not going to be in any of those places. They'll instead pack both Michigan and Western Michigan up and take them to Frankfurt, Germany. The would-be first college football game played on German soil. FBS college football game played on German soil. Both schools issued statements Friday. Oh, confirm it. There you go. Okay, never mind. It is
confirmation.
At Deutsche Bank Park, a 55,000-seat venue that is home to a team in the Bundesliga, which I'm sure you know your German soccer, Joey, the Bundesliga.
Who, what, when, what?
There's a team that plays in Frankfurt that's in Bundesliga, which is the German soccer league, and that's where they're going to play this football game. There have been 2 regular season games at that stadium over the years, and they were both in 2023, Chiefs, Dolphins, and Colts, Patriots.
Well, at least they had a good football game there. Then you obviously got the Colts and Patriots, and then who knows who will be playing in the NFL over in Germany. There might be 2 games in Germany.
Next year?
Yeah, next year.
Is there one this year?
Yeah, there's one this year. It's over in Berlin. It's
Berlin.
Trying to remember who it is. It's the Colts.
Come on, Joey, you got to know this.
I should know this. It's
nobody else on planet Earth knows.
Colts and Falcons.
Colts and Falcons. The Colts love going to Germany. Very interesting. So this will make, of course, we have K-State and Iowa State this year at Farmageddon at Aviva Stadium, which is where Nebraska and Northwestern played a couple of years ago, where Florida State and Georgia Tech played last year. Notre Dame and Navy played there as well in the past. And next year, the Dublin game, by the way, week 0 will be TCU and North Carolina. Interesting. And then week 0, we're also looking at Western Michigan and Michigan for week 0 in Frankfurt, Germany. Very exciting. Michigan is taking their product worldwide to show everyone They're cool winged helmets. Everyone loves their Michigan helmets. Everyone thinks they're so cool. I think they're stupid and boring, but that's just my personal opinion. Maybe it's because I'm biased against Michigan.
I just don't like Michigan.
Exactly. What do you think of their helmets, Joey?
They're disgusting.
They are disgusting. Everyone says, "Oh, but it's tradition. It's tradition." Now, if they ever got rid of it, that would be a pretty bad move because of the way people like them. But I don't really care for them.
Don't they add stickers like some teams do under their helmets whenever they get an accolade or something?
Yeah, they
do something
got
good?
helmet stickers on the back there, and they're full of them, just like Ohio State.
I just don't think those work for those helmets like Ohio State does, where it's just
just
generic,
blank.
just a generic gray helmet with the scarlet stripe in the middle.
Exactly. See, that works perfectly. Michigan, not so much. By the way, on the geography of Michigan, which Joey had me beat on, by the way, when a state has more directional schools than there are directions, it's hard to remember where they are all located. I think that's a great point by John on the text line.
Well, and there's
Western, Central, Eastern. There is Northern, but they're Division II school, right?
Yeah, Dan would know this, but they're over in the UP, over in Marquette.
Oh,
don't forget there's
in
the upper
Yoopers.
at the Yoopers.
The Yoopers.
Where would Southern Michigan be? Because
I don't know, where is the south of Michigan?
Pretty. That's where Michigan, Eastern Michigan, and Western Michigan's at, near the south border.
Southern Michigan. I'm not seeing a Southern Michigan. Southwestern Michigan University. Dear God. Southern Michigan University. There is not a Southern Michigan University. They're most likely referencing Western Michigan University. And then there's a Southwestern Michigan College, which is a junior college that does not have a football team.
Interesting.
So shout out to them out there. I don't know where that would be located either. One more thing. Big Ten coaches. So last week at Big Ten Media Days, Tony Petitti came out and said, I have an opinion. I have a plan for the college football playoff. And here it is. And everyone said, hey, actually, this is stupid. What's up with this? And he's like, wait, no, it's not. No, but everyone likes this, right? The Big Ten, as we know, continues to have its head jammed up its own butt because that's what they enjoy doing. They have they do not care about what people think about them. And in fact, they'll say that people really enjoy this plan, even though that is something that is not happening. But Tony Petitti gave some more insight to Scott Docterman of The Athletic after Big Ten Media Days or during Big Ten Media Days. And Docterman wondered, maybe we could talk about this with him at some point, wondered why the coaches that spoke at Big Ten Media Days were so supportive of this format. How did that happen? Docterman writes, within his conference, the plan is Petitti's plan, which would restructure the CFP from a 12-team tournament to a 16-team field beginning in 2026, has drawn rave reviews from his football coaches. At Big Ten Media Days, 16 of the league's 18 football coaches praised the commissioner in their opening statement, along with the league's athletic directors, those two groups appear to be in lockstep with Petitti's vision for an access-based college football playoff field rather than the one dependent upon votes from a selection committee. Quote, they're in sync with the plan because they helped create it, Petitti told The Athletic last week at Big Ten Media Days. They were involved in the very first conversations. Within 2 months of replacing Kevin Warren as the commissioner in 23, even before the Big Ten invited Washington and Oregon to join the conference, Petitti held what he called a really candid conversation with his league's football coaches. They felt the 9-game schedule had not been rewarded by the selection committee in comparison with the ACC and the SEC, whose teams play 8 conference games each. With his media rights contracts in place through the 2029 season, Petitti reiterated that the Big Ten would remain at 9 conference games. Of course, can't change that. The TV networks wouldn't have it. But he wanted to listen and allowed them to vent, especially about the ambiguous criteria used in the CFP selection process. Quote, You're asking a group of people to get into a room and decide the best 12 or best 16 teams in college football, and you're not converting apples to apples. Penn State coach James Franklin said. He was very opinionated last week. When you try to compare non-conference schedule from a conference that plays 8 compared to a conference that plays 9, it's going to look different. Yes, that is true, James. But once again, this is another, of course, it's going to look different just in terms of record only. But once again, we're all very smart. We understand that the strength of schedule piece is factored in, and it's not just based on one poll. It's not just based. Who are the committee? Once again, I go back to the beginning of the show and I talked about this. There is this impending and really currently ongoing war against the committee, just like I said, it was at the start of the show, against preseason polls for some reason. But I do think they go hand in hand. They're in the same vein. Yes, the committee is, of course, being impacted by the polls that are going on. They are being impacted because they are humans. They are people. They also have eyes, which is why they exist in the first place, which is why we went away from computers in the first place. But there is this war that is going on right now against the committee. And that's the boogeyman that the Big Ten has created over the last couple of weeks here, or attempting to create over the last couple of weeks. But in fact, they have done nothing wrong. It's not their fault, committee.
It's not Giancarlo's fault.
It's not Giancarlo's fault. It's not the committee's fault. I don't understand what the Big Ten would be gaining in comparison to getting their automatic 4 teams in every single year. What you're losing is, of course, making the entire rest of the college football season a sham, which, you could argue already exists, I suppose. What you're gaining is, I was thinking about this to myself last night because this is the stuff that I think about when I'm just sitting there. What are you gaining? You're gaining over a long time period, not much, right? Because it evens out. 4 guaranteed teams every year for each, the SEC and the Big Ten. Maybe the SEC and the Big Ten get one more in a format where it's 4-4-2-2-1-1-1. Or maybe in a format where it's a little bit more wide open, like everybody else agrees on, the 5+11. The SEC is getting as many as 6 in a season or something like that. And then the Big Ten says, we only got 4 and they got 6. That's not fair. And then they want to change the entire format again, when in reality what happens after 5 years is it all evens out. One year there might be 3 SEC teams who are within the criteria met to be in the college football playoff, and there's 6 Big Ten teams, or there's 5 Big Ten teams, or something like that. You're telling me over a 5-year period, the 5+11 model, it will be that out of whack, or a 10-year period, or a 20-year period, that it will be that out of whack in favor of the SEC because they have the committee on their side and they have the preseason polls on their side? No, that's not how it works. That's not how it would work. But we're very impatient, and now we're trying to find the boogie people out there. And apparently this very cool and very fun idea was in part birthed by the Big Ten's own coaches. Great to hear. All right, let's take a break. We got the polls. We'll tell you what to watch when we return on the other side on 1620 The Zone. All right, to the polls at Happer Show on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed. We have 3 of them from today. Many more great poll questions throughout the week. Self-reminder to myself, remember to do the top poll questions of the month on Thursday.
Hard to believe we're almost August. We're almost to August. That's
Can
Friday.
you believe it? Can you believe it?
Then we get football.
Then, for some, we get football on Thursday. Sickos. For non-sickos, we don't get football for another 4 weeks.
It's true.
First poll. Are dogs better than humans? I have a sense on the way that this will go. I'll write no, because I am team human. It's not anything against dogs. I just like humans. 76% say yes, dogs are better than humans. Shocking. Would you chew bark with Aaron Rodgers? My guess is a lot of people are going to say no to this one, Joey.
Yeah.
I'm going to say yes. If Aaron Rodgers said, Connor, come on out. Let's chew bark together. I'd be like, you know what? Let's do it. 77% say no. And
we had one more from the cross.
Oh, I skipped that one. Yeah, sorry. Do you leave napkins in the glove compartment, glove box? I don't. They either get used or sit in my car for a while, and then I throw them away when I clean up my car, which is like fairly often. But they never make it to the glove box, I don't think. So no. 82% say yes.
A lot of messy people out there.
Whoa,
Connor.
that's overwhelming. No shame. No shame. Go ahead. Leave.
Either that or the wet wipes.
The wet wipes are important to have.
They're a
as well.
game changer.
All right, those are the polls. Joey, what are we watching tonight?
Okay, not a whole lot going on. WNBA, there's a couple games on tonight. Seattle Storm, they're 15-11. They are on the road against the Connecticut Sun, whose record is 420.
Whoa.
6 p.m. ESPN 3, and then on ESPN at 7, the New York Liberty travels to Dallas to face the Wings. Then over in the MLB, we got the Happer Show Classic. The Atlanta Braves on the road at the Kansas City Royals. That's at 6:40.
Oh my goodness, that
Watch it on
series
TV.
does start tonight.
Yeah.
Josh has got to be making his way to Kansas City for lunch at some point this week, right?
Yeah, it's got to get down there for something.
He said a while ago that he was going to go to one of these games. I can't remember which one he said he was going to go to. Maybe he hadn't picked yet, but he'll be down there and he'll do a tweet.
Then there's a couple games on the MLB network. Not sure which one they're going to air, but 8:40 the Mets and the Padres, 8:45 the Pirates and the Giants.
Okay.
And then if you don't want to watch sports, there's the Indiana Jones trilogy on Paramount Channel starting at 7, which I will admit a couple of weeks ago I did not watch that in full length until a couple of weeks ago because I don't usually watch movies. So
I watch no Indiana Jones movies
But
ever.
anyway, if you're interested, and then also on MTV, for those of you upset with the second movie or Happy Gilmore 2, the first one's on MTV at 8 o'clock Central.
Okay. All right.
That's all I got.
Joey, great job. Well done. Let's run it
thank
back
you.
tomorrow. We're gonna double down and try it again on Tuesday and for the rest of the week. That's it for us today. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. Crossovers coming up next.